about doing another collab, a new person I haven't collabed with yet. There's still one person I've chatted on stream, on their stream, about doing a collab which they were interested in. But I tried to contact, I joined the survey, and then I've sent them a private message which they completely ignored. I sent them a message, another message, like an update, like how, like, maybe they just forgot to answer, because that happens too. But they didn't answer that one either, so oh, and I guess that's not happening. No! A collab. Why did you... This is a secret. Again, secret. Don't look at my secrets. Ponpon's secret is for no one to see. Enables the bun bun. Didn't I answer you fast enough? I was talking about collapse. It's barely been a minute. No, it was Orimian who did it. Orimian felt like Kate was going to do it and had to do it. So Kate didn't do it. I guess I shouldn't have blamed Kate for that. I mean, Kate would do it still. So, I mean, I don't feel like my incorrect blame there was unfounded. Pretty no, quite. I didn't do the Vanderwear. No, you didn't actually do it. I didn't check who it was. I just saw there was a Kate there, and then like, I wonder who it actually could be, but it wasn't you. For once. I guess you're actually not doing it the most of the time. I don't know who does it the most. Orimian does it like at least once a day, it feels like. Pretty. Cole does. I don't know. Cole barely ever does it. But still is enjoying the view whenever it happens. You silly people. Cole is 94% cute. Oh my, you're really cute. That does not mean that you have to lower it. Also, why does this sound like Owl City? Because it is. That is why, because it is. I hope that's a satisfying answer. Is it actually... Because it was Alligator Skies. Yeah, it's by Owl City, okay. Because the artist, Adam Young, I think, has done music under different artist names. So it could have been under a different name and therefore not known as Owl City. But that one appears to have been released under the name Owl City anyway, so I guess one of the lesser known songs, or maybe, I don't know. And this is a Swedish song, as in both from Sweden and in Swedish. I thought it was, but all I know from is Firefly and Call Me Maybe with Carly Rae Jepsen. Of course, you all know the most popular. No, it's no surprise that you would be familiar with the more popular songs. It makes sense. I do have a few albums. Okay, which do I have actually when I was thinking about it? I think I have both those songs, but I could be wrong. There we go, that's the folder, and then I have all see. Oh no, it's no. Wait, what? What doesn't? Why doesn't find any of it? Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, I actually got quite a few songs here. Do I have any songs by Adam Young that is not Owl City? Apparently not. Every song, I guess the songs that we made before Owl City was not good enough to be on this list. I actually have quite a few songs by Owl City here. 29 of them. Fireflies is apparently not on the list. And Call Me Maybe was by Carly Rae Jepsen, which is on the list. But does not list Owl City, so that might be a second version then. I can find a different song that includes Owl City and Carly Rae Jepsen. But not Call Me Maybe, unless that song has like backing of. Because I do try to include all the like guest artists and stuff. Nope. I find nothing about Owl City related to Call Me Maybe. Maybe you refer to Good Times or whatever it was called. I already closed the page. Hello, Vanity Bear. Night shows at the bunny seat. And that song, for some reason, got so much hate, and I don't know why. Call Me Maybe specific. That is, which is what I'm referring to. Very confusing. I know that it was, but it's the people on the internet just hating on everything. And Harmonix is developer of Rock Band, included that song as DLC in Rock Band 3, which I was at the time reading their forums for the new DLC releases, and there was some people who was so upset about that at an optional DLC purchase you can make. It's just like insane how upset some people could be about a song. And one person like was so upset that they were going to stop playing Rock Band and go and play some Guitar Hero, specifically 1 and 2, where those games were the best, and not going to play anything by Harmonix. Like did I say Rock Band 1 and 2? I mean Guitar Hero 1 and 2. Play Guitar Hero 1 and 2. Like Guitar Hero 1 and 2 was the first 2 games of the, like I like to say, in the Rock Band franchise, it starts with Guitar Hero 1 and Guitar Hero 2, and then Rock Band 1, 2, and 3, and there are some spin-offs. While the Guitar Hero franchise starts with Guitar Hero 3. Because Harmonix made Guitar Hero 1 and 2. And those 2 games are a bit different from Guitar Hero 3 and onwards. But then they made Rock Band as their, because they expanded to additional instruments. And I think another reason was because Guitar Hero is owned by Activision, while Rock Band is owned by Harmonix. So they made their own franchise they own the full rights to. It is published by EA, but not every game, which is what makes me think that they have independently published at least one of the games, which makes me think that EA cannot be the owner of that franchise then, logically speaking. But anyway, But that's also why another reason why I want to play Guitar Hero 1 and 2 on stream. Because Guitar Hero 1 and 2 use original recordings and not the ones owned by musicians. the not musicians, publish music pub. It's I don't know, because they did those recordings under a group made. Harmonix didn't make music, a different group made music, which could mean that Harmonix does not own the... No, Harmonix never owned it because it was made under... It might mean that Activision might not own it, and therefore Microsoft might not own those songs. But it's hard to get in contact with Microsoft regarding that, because if Microsoft is owning the music, and it is video game music, that might mean that I would have the full legal rights, as provided by Microsoft, to play it on stream. Since Microsoft has said that if it's music for like the video game and they own it, you can play it on stream as you're playing the game. By the way, so if you're playing any Microsoft game, then this is good information for any streaming, by the way. If you are a streamer who plays a game owned by Microsoft, which contains music that is original and owned by Microsoft for that game, they cannot be licensed music, of course, then you can play that music on stream. If you are getting a claim, which you would be if you're playing, for example, Spyro, in some cases, some Spyro games. I don't know if Microsoft actually owns that music, but if they do, you can make a counterclaim, and when you make a counterclaim, you do not have to fill out any personal information. You make it a counterclaim as the streamer, so your full name is your streamer name. Then you confirm that you have, that's all you fill out, you don't fill out anything else. Then you confirm that you have understood that the report and stuff, and then you sign it by filling out your streamer name again, and then you send it in. I have done that, well, except for maybe the first one or two or something, but I have almost exclusively done that for every counterclaim I made, because the counterclaims are automatic anyway. And maybe you are under different legal obligations if you are from the United States. I am not, so I do not have to follow the US law. Obviously, Twitch can choose to not platform me, of course. There is that. But I do not have to follow US law. So anyway, what are we talking about? I think that has confused a lot. I've been around on the internet, and now there's been many situations where like people have claimed that I have to follow US law, and say like, no, I'm not living in the United States, I'm not a US citizen, I have no connection to the United States, I do not have to follow it. And people is like, no, you do have to. No, that's not how it works. Yeah. I do not have to follow it, but I understand that if a company's or a website or something is run in the United States, and therefore the website has to follow it, that means that could mean that all the users have to follow the rules that the website set up, which is following the US law. That makes sense, but that still doesn't mean that I would be punished under the US law, which is kind of what they were going at in that one situation. Or more than one situation, because I lost count, because I haven't so long time. You did say guitar, well, good, because it's guitar 1, 2, and then Rock Band. 1, 2, 3. Hydrate. That sounds good. Hydrate, Master Check. I will do that. Never. Hello, Never. Thank you for Tammy Raps and Magic Girl outfit. Oh, don't play Nintendo games on stream because while Nintendo for now has stopped claiming videos with their content, they could start doing it again. I mean, I still haven't played a single Nintendo developed game, but I have played Nintendo games. As in games on Nintendo platforms and games featuring Nintendo characters. And I don't see as an issue. I mean, if they start claiming, oh well, I don't think that would hurt me. So far, has any, like, when they did claim the videos, were there any situation of anyone being like banned from Twitch for playing a Nintendo game due to claims? I know there's been the situation where there's been this situation where people claim that Nintendo does not understand time zones and will ban anyone for playing a game too early because it's not yet released in the United States, which of course is a weird claim in the first place because Nintendo is not a US company, so they would follow Japanese time zone if anything. But that is not the case, because the only case I could find where someone's stream on Twitch was shut down due to playing a game too early, where they claimed that they were playing it according to their local time, they didn't. They were in Europe, I think Germany, and were playing the game when it was released in Australia, and claimed that their local time was Australian, but they were they were playing it too early in their own local time. And that's one of the cases where they lied about, and then people picked up and blamed Nintendo for not knowing time zones. But a person, I mean, you could say like, why not allow anyone to play the game when it has been released like at the same time globally, like say a time UTC, and then everyone gets to play, like how they do with DLC for Smash Bros, which was released at midnight UTC. They could do that, but they don't. So that's a different thing to complain about. But anyway, so they do know their time zones. But aside from that, I'm not sure. I haven't looked up if anyone else has been banned for playing a Nintendo game when Nintendo went the most crazy about blocking people from using Nintendo content. It is still weird, like watching a video on YouTube, which I do sometimes, which is about something, not even about video game, and then they're like playing Nintendo music in the background. Like, you can't do that. That's copyrighted music. You're playing illegal music in the background. And considering how crazy Nintendo is about shutting down games which feature Nintendo music in the first place, well, gameplay at all, for that matter, I meant to say, in the past, playing their music on something that has nothing to do with their games, that's a bit risky. But people just play it as if they are allowed to do it. Sounds like a lot of details. Yeah, there's a lot of details. If there's anything you're curious about, let me know. I can see what I can answer. I have some experience streaming, I guess, but I haven't dealt with anything. I have never been in legal trouble. So, what if someone is playing music on your own instruments but reading sheet music? If you are making your own performance of their music, that's a good question. Do they own the? Because if you're playing their performance, then they legally own that. But if you're playing your own performance of their music, then the question is, are they owning the composition of the music? In that case, you're playing copyrighted composition, but your own performance. But if they don't own the if composition is correct, or is it correct? Like I think it's called a score. So if they own the score, if that's copyrighted, then you can't play it. But if they don't own it, but only own the performance of it, then you can play it. I don't know how it works with music. I switched to the American company and all places around the US law while working for Twitch. When you could, well, I do not work for Twitch. I am independent. I only publish on Twitch. I do not follow US law. I follow Swedish law when I'm doing my work and publishing. Then Twitch might need to do certain things according to US law. That's up to them. Then they do that. I do not follow that. I cannot. It would be strange if I were to be punished for not following US law as a non-US citizen, worker, or resident. Or I'm also not selling product to the US market either. So I understand Twitch being limited by US law, but I don't see why I would be. Because it would be awful if you had to follow another country's law just because you visit a website situated in that country. Which is a thing I've commented on before, such as how just want to delete that one. If I select everything and select this point, I just want to delete that point. But it deletes everything because everything here is selected. Annoying. Also, I have to delete that thing. Because that's a thing I've commented on before regarding Okami, because in their agreement of playing their game, they state that you have to follow Japanese law to play the game, otherwise they are allowed to take away your right to play the game, which I think is terrible, and they should not have the legal right to do so. So I guess that is the next thing we need to battle after after they stop killing video games thing, is to battle terrible license agreements for video games. Since they are writing anything they want, and some things are also breaking Swedish law, or breaking Swedish law isn't, but they're saying that you cannot do something that the Swedish law states that you are allowed to do, and such as, for example, in Swedish law you are allowed to copy games for personal use. Some game companies say like you're not allowed to copy these games at all, but I am allowed to, because the Swedish law also states that you cannot make an agreement with a company that removes your legal rights. You can agree with the company, but that will not remove your legal rights. So I can agree to this contract they have for me to play a game that states that I'm not allowed to copy it. I still have the legal rights to copy it because Sweden says so. And then if they then choose to prevent me from playing the game because they do not agree with that, I feel like that just should be illegal. I know I was getting into politics here, but I mean, I want the rights to play games, okay? And I don't want companies to regulate how I can play the games on illegal grounds. Yeah. I should really not keep up with the comments here, by the way. Also, you are considered an independent contractor for Twitch, which makes you an employee on the contract. Am I independent contract? Well, to be fair, I did. But if a company is employing a person from another country, they have to follow the laws of that country. Like if they're going to hire me as a Swedish resident and living in Sweden and all that, that's what Swedish resident is. They have to follow the Swedish laws regarding employment. if they're hiring me, which they haven't hired me. Which has been a thing. One example I know of is how some US companies, one US company I should say, who wanted to hire people from different countries but wanted to pay the US minimum wage, whatever it's called. I don't know the difference between salary and wage, but that's not legal in the other countries, which has a higher rate. But the company still want to do that, but they can't, as far as I understood the whole situation, they can't do that because they have to follow the laws of the countries the workers are working inside. Which is also why another Walmart had an issue when they tried to establish in Germany, because they wanted to follow the US laws regarding employment, but they had a lot of German workers in Germany that were working from Germany, obviously in the stores that were located in Germany, but it was still not a German company. But they couldn't do that because, well, they have to follow German law. So I don't know exactly how everything applies to me, but yeah. And also, whose responsibility is it if you're working for a company? Is it the company's responsibility that you're following the law, or is it the workers' company is responsible to follow the law? I mean, if a worker is doing something outrageous, it's one thing, but I don't know whose responsibility is it. It would make sense that if a worker is just breaking the law, that would be the worker's fault. Also, if the company encourages that, but anyway, that's too much detail. Nintendo doesn't allow live stream, but but they don't enforce it right now because they got so much backlash for shutting down videos and streaming of Nintendo. It does make sense. I haven't read up what Nintendo's rules are. I still haven't played a single Nintendo developed game. Have I played a Nintendo owned game? I guess Nintendo does own Pokemon, like they're a part owner of it. Well, I guess I played Smash Bros. 2, which they have characters in, but do they own the games? I guess they might do. Most companies will love the free advertising. Yeah, like that's what most companies do. But Nintendo is Nintendo. They're very stuck in their own mindset of how things works. And they don't want to change that. Usually. Nintendo didn't care. No one hates Nintendo fans more than Nintendo themselves. This is the most reason for thinking company, innovative as they are. They try to be creative and come up with a lot of ideas, but they're also very stuck in their own ways and does not want to stray far away from it, which is an interesting combination. I know the last I bought games many times because I've seen them played on streams. I was gonna pass on Donkey Kong Bonanza, for example, but until seeing someone play it. Yeah, like me seeing some people that played certain games got me into buying the games. For example, I Am Fish was one game someone played, and like I had to buy that. I bought Euro Truck Simulator because someone played that. I actually don't know when I actually bought it and started playing. Like, where did I see it first? That got me into actually getting it. When was the last time Nintendo really innovated? It really depends on where you draw the line of innovation. Because they have done things that other, like, You can, like, there's two ways you can see it. Either as a big company that is actually making it successfully, you can argue that you could argue that, for example, Wii U wasn't successful, but I would say they were quite successful with it still. I mean, they still made a lot of money, I assume. I mean, it wasn't like they went bankrupt or anything. Yeah, so there might be some like small company that has done something. Because I'm thinking like even if you look at the Switch, having a tablet itself isn't innovative with gaming controls that you can detach, which is kind of like how you can attach gaming controls to a phone. But then you can also dock it and have the picture show on a separate screen, which has been a feature on phones too. So it's if you look at each individual part, it's nothing new. But if you look at the whole package, you could argue it's something new, I guess. But Switch 2 wouldn't be innovative because it's just an upgraded version. It's just a more powerful Switch. Use the GameCube with motion tech. But wouldn't motion tech be the innovative part? If you're a contractor, it's the worker's responsibility. Does make sense. See, the difference is Twitch is located in the US and the US company meaning while working for them as an independent contractor, you must follow this law as long as your contract exists. If Twitch open an office in Sweden, they have to follow Sweden law, because Sweden would tell them to either follow our laws or get out. I mean, what I'm saying is, would I be legally responsible for following US law? Obviously, if I don't follow, like they have the right to terminate my account, of course. I'm not saying against that. I can't use... I might be able to argue that they shouldn't terminate it, but I mean, they're a private company. But would I be in legal trouble for doing this and not following US law? Aside from getting banned from Twitch. It's more that I'm looking at. If you really think about it, the Wii U was the Wii 2, which the Wii was the GameCube 2, which means the Wii is the GameCube 3. But the GameCube, wait, I should finish. The Switch is the Wii U 2, which means it's the GameCube 4, and Switch 2 is the GameCube 5. Yes, but the GameCube, how is that innovative? It's a disc-based Nintendo 64. And Nintendo 64 is a more capable Super Nintendo NES, SNES, which is obviously just an upgraded NES. So you can take it the whole way if you want. The Nintendo 64 had a very creative control. So, I guess this is a very informative stream today. we had an interesting topic yesterday too. I find it interesting, and also things I haven't really considered before. And while I could research things, that doesn't seem like the appropriate time to do it during streaming. Because obviously I should actually know this stuff. So, to be fair. No, I meant to select the shape. I wish we kept the GameCube for 2 more decades. Why could you? I'm actually curious because I was never someone who got into GameCube. My first proper Nintendo console, which I actually play. I've played other Nintendo consoles, but like the proper one I owned and played a bunch on was the Wii, and then Wii U, and that's the only Nintendo consoles I've like played. Like grown up with and played a lot. I played on all the consoles, 64, GameCube, and stuff. I mean, the Wii literally had the same CPU as the GameCube, but overclocked. Thus, it was a second attempt at the GameCube. Okay. Counter argument. If you're going to do that literally. The Wii U didn't use the same CPU as the Wii, wasn't it? Alright? Doesn't that make it a separate then? If that's... No, I'm just thinking that if you're going to consider like the Wii U to be just a Wii 2, I mean, sure, it has Wii in the name, but I mean... that really were maybe Switch is better. If Switch is just a Wii 3 or a GameCube 4, but let's say it's a Wii U 2 because it turns on screen or something. It's a tablet, I meant. But I mean, how does that make like the GameCube different from 64? Because the GameCube is just because GameCube plays discs. 64 plays cartridges. Wii U plays disc. Switch plays cartridges. Switch has its own screen like a Wii U. A GameCube requires a separate screen like a 64. I mean... In that case, Switch 2 is the NES 8, not counting handles. Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. The Nintendo 8. If Nintendo went with the same numbering system as Sony went with the Nintendo 8. That's also why the Wii was the first Nintendo console with true hardware backwards compatibility. I haven't thought about that. That does make sense. Because obviously the GameCube wasn't backward compatible. SNES could play NES games, could it? Don't know. Maybe it couldn't. Maybe none of those were backward compatible. I meant that as a question. Does the SNES play NES games? Or is Wii the first backward compatible Nintendo console ever? When you play a Wii game on the Wii U, you should downclock the CPU to become a Wii. Yeah. Doesn't a Wii also downclock? Maybe it doesn't. Its CPU to play GameCube games. I would assume it does. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe GameCube games just plays better on a Wii. But your previous statement that it has the exact same hardware does still apply to Wii's backwards compatible, while Wii U doesn't have the exact same hardware as a Wii, which is still a very interesting thing that I've not thought about. The only other console I know that has that is the PlayStation 3. Which had, as far as I understood it, the hardware for both the original PlayStation 3, both PS1 and PS2, which is also why it got so expensive. I could be wrong. Maybe it didn't have the full hardware for it though. But then in the later versions, they removed some of the hardware from the PS2 and started emulating that hardware. And then in later versions, they removed all the hardware for PS2, so you could no longer play the games at all, and had to rely on full emulation. but I'm not sure if that information is 100% correct. I have two PS3s, but that doesn't mean anything. SNES can play NES games without external hardware. Okay. The Wii U does have the same hardware, but it has it for the later revisions of the Wii. Without hardware for GameCube. Wait. I'm not sure if I'm following there. What you said there. So the only thing the Wii has in common with the GameCube is the CPU, just being a overclocked CPU. But all other hardware isn't the same, therefore isn't true hardware backwards compatibility. I mean, if you want to go with... it's just partially true. I guess, maybe. At least emulation won't go out of style anytime soon. No. Emulation is really useful. And legal. It's all about having the stuff. If you have the game and the hardware, because the one piece of the emulation that is required that is copyrighted is the BIOS system. That's why when you get an emulator, you don't get the BIOS, because the emulator is the legal part. It is legal to emulate the hardware. However, not the BIOS, because that is copyrighted. So, as far as I understood it, that is what sets apart Nintendo emulations from other, which I think is ridiculous too. Because when they make the Sony emulator or any Sony device, same thing with Xbox emulation, you do not get the BIOS. That's up to you to get. They have like there are guys like how to extract it from your actual console, because that would be the legal way of doing it. Because that way, if you have the console, you have the right to the BIOS. That's your license. And therefore you can play emulated games legally. But Nintendo emulation, these people who make those, includes the BIOS in the emulator. It's like hard-coded into the emulator, which makes the emulator illegal. And that's also why they get so much trouble from Nintendo, because they have an illegal emulator. They are, and that's why I mean, that's certainly a reason why there's so much trouble for it with Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo has issue with a lot of things, but that is a thing that Nintendo can use as their argument. And if they just did like how every other emulation group developer does, and just don't include the BIOS in the emulator, then the emulator would be legal. And someone tried, I don't know if there was an actual group that developed an emulator, but someone tried to put a Nintendo emulator on Steam, which was taken down, of course, because it contained copyrighted content that they didn't have any legal rights to, which was the BIOS. So I wonder if there's any other emulators on Steam that does not contain the BIOS, because that would not be legal. But it's not a game itself, so kinda might not fit Steam. All three of them had ATI graphics cards and the same CPU, just overclocked each new generation. So GameCube came with a CPU that was overclocked for Wii, that was even further overclocked for Wii U. But then they had different graphics cards from the same producer, but different graphic cards. I mean, so they don't have the same hardware except for the same CPU. If I understood it correctly then. I don't know what more is there in a console. Sound card. Network card. Doesn't really affect games much. Actually, it's not illegal to emulate the system at all. The ROMs are illegal. How? The ROMs aren't illegal. You can fully reverse engineer the BIOS because it's not protected as it has been proven in US court. Well, okay then. If it's... Then I guess they could release it with BIOS included in, I guess. Maybe they do it without, just for the principle of it. But okay, if the BIOS isn't copyrighted, then... how long ago was that? Because in that case I have outdated information. I mean, I don't follow US court either, but... But, But yeah, the ROMs are not illegal either, because as I stated prior, as a Swedish citizen, I have the right to make a digital copy of my digital games. It might be illegal to some people, but it's not illegal to me. So I can make my ROMs in peace, protected by Sweden. And then... which again makes the question like, okay, the copy might be illegal in the US, am I still allowed to stream it? Like, it is illegal from where I am. So, it's... yeah. The reason they get in trouble for this included BIOS is they didn't reverse engineer it, they just ripped it out from the system. Okay, there we go. That's the details I was missing. Okay, yes. That's why... okay. That's why the emulators don't include the BIOS, because they don't want to spend the time reverse engineering it. So they like rip it out yourself. That's the legal way of doing it. But the one making Nintendo emulators rips it out from the console. They don't reverse engineer it either, but they included the emulator, making it illegal. Okay. Then I understand. Thank you for making happy. Kurt, why are you throwing balls at me? I'll throw my balls at you. You just throw my balls at me. Technically, there is the in the US, if you own the game, it's not illegal to copy your own ROM, but it's illegal to download someone else's ROM. Yeah, I mean, that's just plain piracy. So, I feel, yeah. So it's the ROMs are not illegal, piracy is illegal, but that was already understood. So, yeah. You just rip the games on your own. Like, if you don't have the console, or in my case, I have the console, but me playing PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games, I can't really emulate PS3 games. But if I want to emulate PS1 and 2 games, which I prefer, if I want to play them on a real console, first off, I don't have a screen to look at this moment. To even see the picture, and watching it on the in OBS, this is going to have such a delay. It's a tiny delay, but it's still a delay, making the gameplay worse. So plus that I get a picture that just looks nice through emulator, because I can like up the resolution of it, render it at high resolution. It looks nicer and sharper for the streams. I prefer But I do have the console, so I have the BIOS there. And I do have the games. I have ripped some games in the past. I have ripped some games. Well, no one ripped a game recently, but I still have my library of games, so... So yeah, there we go. It was funny also when I was on a stream and I said like, I played this game, and then I did play it on like a genuine PlayStation. I played on the PlayStation 3. They were like, yeah, sure you did. No, but seriously, I did. That was silly. But since then, I have played on emulation because I said it's much easier. Picture is a bit sharper. I can also apply certain effects to make the picture even better, which I did for the game Under Your Skin, which I did after the stream. So the stream didn't get the nice look of it. But if I were to go back to the game and play it again, I could play it with the improved, with nice looking graphics. Yeah. So, because I didn't 100% the game, so I could always go back and 100% it. It wasn't a terrible game. It was weird. It wasn't like my favorite gameplay cycle thing. But I mean, it's still enjoyable. It also contains a lot of underwear, so I mean, there's that. But I had to look up what the actual unlock requirements are, because I'm not going to guess what they are. If I don't go back to it, I'm going to see what challenges they require me to do, and then I will try to attempt a challenge. Because that's what I prefer. I want to challenge. I want to see what is the challenge I have to do, and then my goal is to actually achieve that goal. I don't want to guess what the challenge should be and just try things out. Which is very sad to spend so long time to actually achieve something and that was not the thing you had to do. And let's play some ads. It's gonna be added like 10 seconds anyway. So quick 3 minutes of ads and I will be right back with some more Wate. Be right back and I will continue on what you were talking about there. Look, a cutscene with Evil Pun Pun. Oh, look, a cutscene with Evil Pun Pun.
You said it, Crash.
We can meet with the others after we've explored. Now, which way are the food trucks?
Okay, let's try that. Try that. There's someone not knowing where they were supposed to go. Can't wait for it to stop. Whoa. Whoa. I guess that worked. Can do those amazing tricks, but not do this one. There we go. That's how you can do it. This stupid game. Okay. Slight issue. I don't know where Gogam is. Yeah. So I'll just go and see if I can find it. Okay, do some squatting. Okay. Dragon Ridge and Gogam Village. Well, that was easy. 1.
Are you allowed to touch it?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to touch it?
Yeah, touch me.
I'm assuming you probably get fined.
4.
Maybe
Yeah.
some
5. I don't know. Try. 6.
Uh-oh.
7. Why are you
8.
ramming me, Kafki? What? Kafkis is ramming
9.
everything.
Oh,
10.
all right.
Why are you
Oh,
ramming me,
Be
Kafki?
Something
over.
is- something is-
Oh my god.
Haha. I do not need any stinking walls, I need a one.
I mean, that's why they say.
I think there's been an accident here, so you have to pass them on the shoulder.
No, it's a train, right?
Oh, it's a train?
I think so.
It's a motorway, there is no train. Go. No,
Treasure-
they're
I don't know
stopped
what-
on the motorway to let a train pass. No, come on. Yeah, maybe I must have some. I mean, I am silly. Like that. That was silly. Okay, back to that. That was a complete failure. I mean, I don't have to wait for the heads while I'm doing art. Let's see. But if you legally own the game and download a ROM, is it still piracy? No. I would say it is not illegal to gather a copy of a software that you have the legal rights to. If it was illegal to fetch the code that you have the legal rights to from the internet, then Steam is illegal. That is my counter argument. I mean, someone can come with a counter argument to that too, of course, but yeah, I would say, because we had actually, there was actually a situation where we had a disc that broke. The problem is, of course, now we can't use the disc anymore, but you still keep the disc and download the game from a pirate site, but it is not piracy because we still have the disc, we still have the license. We download the exact same copy of the game, since there's just one version of the game, and then continue playing the game. You could argue, I guess a counter argument, I could see what you say there. Because whenever you remember Kafki. Is Steam really ROMs though? What's the difference? Or is it giving a copy of software specific version for Steam? I mean, what's the difference? It might be illegal, but if you have the physical copy, it'll be impossible to prove that you illegally acquired the ROM. Yeah, that was actually something I was thinking about, but I never said that. How are they going to, I mean, how are they going to prove it? They were going to say like, well, I mean, unless they check your data stream or something, or like which website you visit. But if they find like, oh, you have a copy of this game here, yeah, but you have a disc right here. But I guess you could argue that, okay, argue that, well, if you have a physical game, that's not same as having the digital game. But I mean, is it though? I mean, both are digital. I mean, if you put the disc into your device, you have all the files there. It is a digital game. It's just on physical media, just like how a digital game is also a digital game on a physical media. But there's no difference. If you break it down, it is a digital game either way that somehow have entered this physical device to disc-based games are typically pressed, while downloaded games are typically written to a hard drive, but through magnets. Unless you're doing SSD, then there's a different technique they're using. But in the end, it's just digital files on a thing that holds the digital files. So, and also the next question is, what is a ROM? What sets a ROM apart from a digital downloaded game? I know ROM is a typical term used in emulation, but if we're really breaking it down, what is it? Since that's kind of, I assume, what you have to do if you're going to look at the legality about this. Also, Steam isn't giving you ownership of the game. Neither do you get the ownership of a game you buy a disc of. You're just long-term renting it. No, you're not. They can remove your rights to play it at any time. No, they cannot. Really, the ROM is the files for the game in a certain format. What's the format? I mean, I cannot legally say if Steam is allowed to take your rights away from playing a game, but they have so far never done that, and neither has any other platform, as far as I've been able to find information about. Unless it was a legal sale to begin with, then they should, in that case, I mean, then they have a reason to remove your right to play it, but in that case they should also refund you because it was a legal sale in the first place. That's an exception. But I cannot say if there are legal rights, but anyway, you're not owning the game in either case. In both cases, you get a digital copy of the game. One is pressed on a disc or written to a cartridge. The other one is you're downloading from the internet. In both situations, you can just play the game without any restrictions, for some games. Other games has a form of DRM, which could require you to, which then they can use to prevent you from playing the game, which they could use in both cases. And sure, Steam, just like how Steam can add and remove games from your hard drive, because that's part of their download and installing and uninstalling service they offer, they could, without your permission, remove games from your library, but you can just copy those games and put it on a drive that you don't have connected to your computer. If you're paranoid, no, white cat. If you're paranoid about that, to save a copy of it or like have it on a separate computer that you don't have Steam installed on, that you can play on without having to risk having it removed. So I cannot see. This is distracting. How rude, white cat. So I cannot see if they're legally allowed to do that. But you're definitely not renting. You're not renting. You're buying. And there are legal restrictions for what they can and cannot do if they're going to give you a product through the terms of buying rather than renting. But I would like to see some more regulations regarding that. Such as if you're purchasing a digital game, you should have the right to re-download that game multiple times, preferably infinite times, for a certain amount of time since you purchased it. And they should not be allowed to stop you from having the game. With the exception of if it was an illegal sale, in that case they should refund you and take the game away. Read the Steam terms of service, you'll see that they clearly state that you do not own the games you are long-term renting it. They have removed games from people's library. Can you give me... I try to read... Okay, can you quote the part of their terms of service that state that? Because if they actually state that, then they are using the wrong term in their library, because this does not say long-term rent, it says buy. And if the law states that if you are giving up something to someone under the premise of buying it, certain restrictions apply. We're going to put the terms of service says. So, but that is if there is such a law in the first place. I don't think this one is straight. But yeah, and then the second also, which games have they removed from people's library that they have purchased in the past? I tried to look that up, but I couldn't find any cases of games actually being removed from people's libraries. Unless it had been like things that was an illegal sale or they didn't purchase in the first place. Because I would love to know if there's actually been such a case. Because then that case could also be used as an example for why there need to be regulations regarding digital game sales. Because they shouldn't be allowed to do that, I feel like. And I guess that's the next thing to do after the Stop Killing Games initiative, to regulate game sales, the rights regarding digital game sales. I think that's more correct. This is going to look really wonky. But I guess in one way you could say that this is like hand painted by Ponpon or something which I created. The disc actually lets you own it now, but the digital store fraud gives you a license to use the software until they revoke it, which is the same with a disc. You don't own games that you purchase a disc for, you only buy the license to play that game. That's why I like the GOG Good Old Games, because they actually give you the offline version of the game, which is the same as inserting a disc. But that's not how it works. As I mentioned before, some games comes with DRM, and GOG gives you the game without DRM, which is their whole premise. But if you buy a game on a disc, you don't own the game, you get a license to play the game, and some of those games comes with DRM, and they can revoke your access to the game if they feel like it. Even if you buy it on a disc. And wasn't that a thing that I could be wrong about that though, where some people bought a game on disc to play online, and that version was banned from online play? The disc was banned because each disc has like an ID to go along with it, and if you want to go around the ban, you buy a new disc. They wouldn't ban you from playing single player. I don't know if that game even had single player. Because that just would look bad. But I'm still curious. No company wants to let you own anything anyway. So, but you only own a license. I mean, a disc also comes with DRM depending which game you get. And you can't play it offline at all. Not all games that comes on disc allows you to play it offline. So I've never seen Steam remove games from my library unless I've asked them to. Even when a game is dead, done, and gone, it's completely unsupported. Yeah, I've tried to look up situations where Steam actually have removed games from Steam, from your library, from you. And I have not been able to find any case of that. But if there are actual cases to it, I want to know. I would like to see, to actually have cases that I can refer to. And unlisted, yeah, there are unlisted games on the store that are no longer sold, but you can still play them if you purchased them in the past. It's the reason the phrase "if buying isn't owning, the piracy isn't theft" has made the rounds online. Well, I'm not sure if I can agree with that statement. because you don't own most things you buy. Like, okay, so if you buy a car, you don't own the brand. You don't own the design. The only thing you own, and you don't own the software or like the computation it does and all that stuff. The only thing you own is the actual physical material. And if you buy, so you can't just copy this car and produce your own car that looks identical. That would be copyright infringement. If you, as far as I understand it, if you buy a game on disc, then you don't own the game. You don't own the design. You don't own the IP or anything. The only thing you do own is the actual physical disc, but not the data. And all the restrictions that comes with where am I going with this? You only own a license to play that game. And with the current license agreements that they have written, they state that they can revoke your access whenever they want to. And as long as there's some form of online verification, which some games, even if they're sold on disc, do have, they could revoke your access. And games on disc can come without online verification and be fully playable offline, which they also can do with digital games. Which GOG does. So there are... Yeah. I'm not exactly sure. I hope that makes sense in some way. I still have Head Island Epidemic in my library, and the game stopped existing like 10 years ago. The difference is the disk license is ownership of the files, but digital storefronts don't give you ownership of the files themselves. They give you access to cover the files until the digital storefront decides you don't have access. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense. You are getting a copy of the disk. Your disk is a copy of the files. And then when you install them on your computer, you're downloading it from the disk to your computer, unless you're playing a console game. Then you're streaming it, downloading it from the disk to... Well, most console games do. A lot of console games are required to be installed anyway, so that still applies. But even if they aren't required to be installed, you're still streaming it from the disk. You're still kind of like downloading it. A copy of the files. And you have... And when you make a purchase of a digital storefront, you get a license to the files. I understand that there is a difference. I understand that, but there are also a lot of similarities. And I do believe that there definitely should be a regulation on digital sales. So they can't do these things, such as removing games from the library, which I'm still unaware of that any digital storefront has ever done. But what I am aware of is that there are games that are no longer playable because they've shut down servers and stuff, which is unplayable regardless if you bought it digital or on a disc. But that has nothing to do with them revoking your rights to play the game. It's just that the servers are shut down. And that doesn't matter which media you have. You still have the digital files. So if you set up like your own server and get the game running, then you can play it again. Regardless if you have it digital download or a disc. They can't take my McDonald's LAN games from me. They can't take my Syrup games from me. They can't take Pepsi Man from me. They'll never get my Captain Crunch and the Crunchling away from me. Yeah. Which, because there is a lot of because I know there is this Sony situation where Sony had on the PlayStation, they had a demo that was released, or a free game, I guess, but it's kind of like a promotional demo of a game that they then removed from everyone's library, so you cannot, they straight up just deleted the files from your device. Which is a terrible thing to do, but no one purchased that game. So I still think it's a terrible thing to do, but that's not a case of them revoking your access to a game you have purchased, because no one purchased it. And aside from that situation, I've not been able to find any other situation where people have actually had their game that they have purchased been removed from the library and they've not in any way been refunded for it. Obviously, games with servers that have shut down, so the game is unplayable. That's a different thing, and that's what the Stop Killing Game initiative is about, to stop making games unplayable that has been purchased. So yeah, and I also believe that there should be regulations regarding how digital storefronts are allowed to sell games, and regarding how, if they use the term sell. And I'm still curious about that Steam license, Steam agreement that says that you are not buying games, you are renting them over a long period. I'll probably have to look that up after stream then. Because I know there's a lot of misinterpretations, because there was the whole situation that I was in regarding Ko-fi, how people said that I shouldn't use, one person said that I shouldn't use PayPal because they do not give you any chargeback protection, and that I should instead use Ko-fi because they do have chargeback protection, but they don't. Because someone was misinterpreting the agreements that Ko-fi has, which states that they do not take any responsibility for, they don't take any liability or something like that for any of the donations or anything you do on the platform like that, which was somehow interpreted as they do take liability for that. No. I could see if that license is misunderstood too. The one here. Let's see. So long as games can be modified remotely, nothing truly owned. I guess that's a way to look at it. Way back in the day, what you got on this card, whatever was similar what you got. Yeah, as soon as we hit PS3 exploitation and beyond, games rarely full exist on this host on. You'd put the disk in and the download would simply pop up the download and alter the game further. This can also always be extended to just making the game unplayable, which is never a good scenario, but still. Yes, that is a point. Good point. That I don't think I've ever had it, because I had a 360 and had a bunch of games to it. I still have them. They're in a box, and they were full games on the disc, but there were updates that were added alongside the game and that modified the game. But you could always choose to remove the updates. But you only have the choice of using the latest version that you have on the disc, which could be the initial version or a later version in some cases. Usually if they have like a release of the game or something, I assume. Or you could or you can download like the latest version that the Xbox hosts on their server. You cannot choose which version you want, which is also a good point. Because in Rock Band 3, which is a game I have, people created their own songs, which they well, as far as I know, which they have full legal rights to do. But Harmonix or EA, probably more EA than Harmonix, didn't like that idea, because people could also get official release DLC and play those songs in the game. So they released an update to the game that fixed this exploit, which people simply circumvented by hosting a previous version of the game, which you can simply download and put on your console. You just can't play online though, but you wouldn't be able to play online with your custom songs anyway, really. And now you can play custom songs in the game as long as you never play online. And when you are online and start a game, it will ask you if you want to update the game, and then you say, no, I don't want to update the game, and then it will go to offline mode, and then you can play the game with the update you have chosen. And that is possible thanks to it being a disc-based game. If it's a digital game, they could have made the latest update like baked into the whole game, but digital games do that, and making it impossible to revert back to the previous version unless you download it from the internet, if someone had preserved it. And that is a fair point. I don't think that's... I feel like that's a bit of misleading to call it that ownership, because that's not really covering the issue at hand, but it's a good point. You're talking about PT. I think it was PT, yeah. They can't take my chess quest from there. I should play all these games. They can't take OG Doom from me. They can't take Duck Hunt from me. Technically, OG Doom has been kind of taken away from me on Steam now because it got released and altered to be more modern. Wait, they altered it? Because that is a point that I wanted to kind of get to with my regulations regarding digital purchases. What they could do in this legal requirement is that if you make a digital purchase, if you purchase a game, that exact version that you purchased, you should always have access to. If they release an update to the game, you should have the legal rights to not use the update, or if you choose to update, you should have the legal rights to revert the update to at least the version you purchased. Now, the best would be if a platform like Steam allowed you to choose any version. But legally speaking, like a reasonable legal definition would be that you should always have access to the version that existed when you purchased the game. I feel like that's a compromise. Since not all, yeah. So that would resolve that issue, because then they can't legally later on make the game unplayable, because, yeah. And that would also be good for version preservation as well. Which is a good thing Minecraft does, that you can choose almost any version that they have been able to preserve. The version isn't OG Doom. You no longer used to have Doom on Steam, or you just Doom plus Doom 2. Is that a version you can purchase? If you purchase the original Doom, did they alter that version to be like a dual pack now, or is Doom plus Doom 2 a separate game that you can purchase? Can still find OG Doom. It was OG Doom though, it was just a DOS box game. Oh, so it was the DOS, that's right there. It was the DOS version of Doom. That's neat, but they do no longer offer that version. They really should. I don't see why they wouldn't. Like, is there that's also the next thing. Why would they not offer that version? I mean, maybe they don't have the license from DOSBox to do it. So that's for it ran out or something and they couldn't do it anymore. Because that would be a reason for taking down the games. Hi, how are you doing? Hello, Wafi. First. Talking about how they'll never take away your food promotion games. I need to play the food promotion games. There we go. The content serves a license not sold. Yeah, just like how disk-based games works. Your license confers no title ownership of the content and services. That makes sense. Because I mean, if you purchase a Doom, you don't own Doom. You never did. Even if you purchase a disc, you never own Doom. That is the copyright of id Software. To make use of the content and service, you must have a Steam account. I mean, it makes sense. But of course, there is the issue about offline, though. You may be required to be running the Steam client and maintain a connection to the internet, which is, of course, an issue. There, I can agree, is an issue. Current service sections, yeah. They say nothing about being a long-term renting of the service, and it's the same thing as a disc-based game. What they explain is that when you purchase a game, a physical disc, they say the same thing. You do not own the copyright, the IP of this game. You only own a license and a copy of the files that you are allowed to play, which you might require a specific account that you may need to register online, and you may be required to be running this client and maintain a connection to the internet while you're playing this disc-based game. So, all that still applies to disc-based games. I'm not trying to defend this practice. I'm against this practice. But I'm just saying that it's the same thing between a disc and a digital game. That is my argument. And I want it to be better. And it's not a solution to just move over to disc-based games, because they're just going to do the exact same thing. If we had a future where all files comes on the disc, well, you had the benefit of preserving versions, or at least the initial version. But they still could require you to always be connected to the internet to play the game. And with any for the argument that with a disc-based game you could find like a crack to remove the internet requirement, but you could do that for a digital game too. As long as you have all the digital files, of course, which you might not get with a digital version of game, just like as a physical disc game, as we established prior. The choice of being able to remove updates was always up in the air for a lot of games. Is way less of an option these days anyway, where even single-player only games are require you to connect to service to play a game. There's even less ability to do what you want with a game, because if a service says it isn't up to date and is made to restrict the ability to play the game, as a play service, there is a server connection. Then up yours, I guess. Yeah, and that's a terrible thing. And I don't want that. And that's why I agree with the Stop Killing Games initiative that they should not be able to make games unplayable. Because that's a terrible service. If you purchase a game, you should have the right to play that game forever. As long as you have the hardware that the game was designed for, of course. You should not have any legal rights to make sure that their games actually functions forever as hardware evolves. But the hardware that was initially made for, it shouldn't stop, just be altered in a way that it doesn't work on it anymore. I'm still pissed I can never go back to Overwatch 1. Overwatch 1, how did that function? Overwatch 1... No, Overwatch 1 was a sold... They sold copies of it. Yeah, that's... Yeah, you should be able... Not that you should be able to play it in the sense of you can go and do it now, but I think more from a legal perspective, that you should still be able to host a custom game, your own lobby, and just play the game whenever you want. And there's certainly groups of people who does that. But it's probably a hassle to make it work. Yeah, and I agree that you should be able to play that. If you bought Doom back in the day, it got altered to be Doom plus Doom 2 when they did an anniversary release a year or so ago. So they changed, released like an update for the game and changed how the first game is as a game, as in it's not the original DOS version of the game anymore. Well, that's terrible. All the disc-based games have you ownership of your game though. No, no. Like on Duck Hunt and Mario, I own a copy of the game and Nintendo can't tell me I have to return it. The thing that Steam is saying is different from what you say. You're talking about two different things here. You don't own Duck Hunt or Mario, Nintendo does. You only have a license and a copy of the files to play it whenever you want. You own the physical cartridge that the files are laying on. And you could argue like you're owning the thing that determines what file is what. Sure, yeah. I mean, I kind of own the hard drive that has the game, what determines what file is what. But you don't own the games, and that's what Steam is saying. You do not own Duck Hunt and Mario. The term ownership here, I'm talking about Nintendo's copyright of the game, and that is what Steam is also talking about. You are talking about a different kind of ownership. That is not what Steam is talking about. And that is what I'm talking about, the same form of ownership that Steam is talking about. So there's different types of ownerships. Quote, would Pump do that? Sell around anywhere on the internet? Yes, I would. You sure know your law school. I don't know the language. Why didn't you start carrying law school? Maybe I should have. I should go to law school. Because she has a conscience. I own my copy of Duck Hunt. Yeah, that form of ownership. You own a copy, a license to the game. But if I bought it through Steam, I'll be licensed it. Just like how you bought the physical copy of it, you licensed it. Same on Nintendo side, I don't have access to anymore. And I do agree that would be terrible if they could decide that you should no longer have access to it, and that should not be a thing they should have the rights to do. If they give you it under the premise of buying it, which they do on Steam. If they are renting it, then they should state for how long you're renting it for, and that's a different thing. But the form of ownership we're talking about here, what Steam is talking about, what I'm talking about, is the specific ownership of the intellectual property. That's what IP stands for. And you do not own the intellectual property of Duck Hunt and Mario. And that's not the ownership that Steam is basically saying. If you purchase Duck Hunt on Steam, which would basically never happen, then you do not own the intellectual property of the software. You only own a license, just like how it works with disc and cartridge-based games. We're talking about different ownerships here. As I also say, yes, you do own the physical thing that holds the files on. Yeah, you do own that, which could be shortened to you own the game, but then you can't look at Steam's license agreement and or terms of service, I guess it is, and see that then they're saying that you don't own it and license it, but that's a different meaning of the word ownership. This license has a termination of a disagreement or a subscription that includes this license. Yeah, and I feel it's those license agreements are terrible and should not be a thing. So I do agree with that things should be improved, but there's a lot of misinformation too. A lot of terms that are mixed up. And I think, yeah, I don't know what I think. I think I should make these lines thicker at least. Steam is saying we are giving you access to the game until we say you don't. Well, they technically never said that in that part that you copied at least. But when my card is of Duck Hunt, whereas Nintendo can't say, hey, give us back a copy of Duck Hunt. Yes. I agree with you on, like, yes, I'm not saying you're wrong about that statement there you got there. That I agree on. And I think that a digital storefront should not have the legal right to say that you're not longer allowed to play the game. We are in agreement with each other. It's just that you're using the term ownership in a way that Steam is not using, and you're using it as an argument against Steam, which is not working because you're not using it in the way they are using it. And that's kind of what I'm saying. I'm also looking at a lot of similarities between this physical device and digital download. But you have still I still are corrected, but I'll stop you saying, and I like the point about that a digital download could be altered through forced updates, while a physical game would not be able to be altered. And that's a really good point. Yeah. And I really hope there is a push towards improving the digital sales of games. It really needs to be. All right, that's rastered. All right. Technically yes, but also Steam isn't saying anywhere they are just going to take the access away unless you break their game. Yeah, they're not like saying that they're going to take away not in that segment at least. They might say it somewhere else, but also they wouldn't, because, well, I can't say they wouldn't, but it would look really bad on Steam if they did. And considering how a lot of good stuff Steam is doing for, I mean, they're doing bad stuff too, let's not ignore that, but they're still doing good stuff for consumers, things that no authority has told them to do. They're just doing it just to have a better service, to have a good service. Like the if you go to sell what's it called, a season pass or something like that for future DLC, then Steam is going to put more restrictions of how you're going to handle that. And as far as I know, no authority, no government or anything that told them to do that. It was just something they did on their own to have a better service. So therefore, I would find it really strange if they suddenly turn around and started to take away people's rights to play games. So, and to clarify, I'm not saying that they wouldn't do it or that they couldn't do it. I just find it unlikely that they would it, because it would look so bad on them. They would probably lose a lot of people. They're already losing a lot of people, but but that would be a good reason for people to leave the platform and moving over to other platforms that have not shown to do that kind of stuff. The problem is, if Steam says, hey, we want to end this agreement, then they can take your access of the game, but Nintendo can't tell me to give up my copy of physical game. Yeah, yes, that is a difference. And I think there should be something done about that. Like they wouldn't legally. I think Steam should be not legally be allowed to do such a thing. Even if they wouldn't, they shouldn't even have the legal rights to do it, is what I think. It goes both ways. It can break the agreement, and so can they. Yeah, and that's And that's what I have an issue with license agreements of games. Because they seem to often have a part that says, at least for what Okami said, that they have the rights, you have the right to play this game as long as this agreement is valid. But if this agreement is no longer valid, you must stop playing the game and no longer is allowed to play the game. And this agreement could be broken or stopped basically, if you don't follow the agreement, or if they feel like terminating it, and they don't even have to tell you that they have terminated it, which it makes it even worse, that you could, according to the agreement, be required to stop playing the game without them having to tell you. How is that supposed to work? That doesn't even make any sense. But that's part of the agreement. And that's terrible. And that shouldn't be a thing. And I agree that shouldn't be a thing. But they could write the exact same agreement for a physical game. They could have, which they do. When you want to play a physical game, a physical, like, in the sense of a physical device that you purchase with the game on it. Many games, at least in modern time, I guess, still have like a license agreement when you start. Even if you install it, it's, or like run it for the first time, it's like a license agreement to it. And they can also say stupid stuff like that they really shouldn't be allowed to do. And sure, you could make then the argument that, well, you could still technically play the game because you have the physical copies of the files. But so is true with the digital game too, because even if whoever is the ownership of Okami decides that I'll no longer have the right to play Okami, they can't take the files away from me. That's only what they could tell Steam to do it. But would Steam do it though? So that's then up to Steam to take the files away. So yes, so they can't directly take the file away. They need to come in Steam to do it. But if they do come in Steam, yeah, then that's a problem. But if the license no longer is applicable and I can't play the game according to the license, but I still have the files, I could still play the game. So that way it works both ways. But there is that thing, if Steam does agree with them that and will take away my files, then yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. But I'm still curious about that. If Steam ever has removed access to a game someone has purchased without refunding them. Steam aren't going to end an agreement. Why would Steam ever end the agreement? They're just saying, hey, be nice, get your game. Yeah, that's like what I'm saying. Like, they could take the games away from you, which would be terrible, but they wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense from a business standpoint. It would hurt their brand so much. Not saying that Steam would break the agreement, but the wording makes it so the agreement can be broken by either party, me or Steam. Yeah, and that's a terrible thing. That is a terrible thing, and that should be changed. Steam has been around for 22 years. I would be very shocked if they suddenly ever decide to just end the game because they can. Yeah. I mean, there's always a level of trust that has to go between a consumer and a company. And I feel like Steam has been around for, as you say, 22 years. And at that point, you do kind of have a level of trust with Steam. But sure, they could at some point just turn around and decide that, no, this is the end of our business. We're going to make it terrible for everyone. And they're going to just like crash their own company. So they're going to lose so much trust. The problem is they can break the agreement. Yes, I agree that they can terminate agreements. Not that they would, because that would be dumb, but they can. Yes, and I agree with that. I think we are in agreement. It would be funny to watch the backlash if they suddenly did. It would be quite the entertainment, wouldn't it? Kind of like, although it's not entertaining, because that's the whole MasterCard situation. Because MasterCard apparently holds the rights to determine what is what holds artistic value or not. And if they do not agree that something holds an artistic value, you are not allowed to use their service. And that's another thing I think should change. I do not think a transaction company should have the legal rights to such a thing. That's a whole different thing. Well, there was some backlash too. But did they go back on everything? I don't feel like they did. So didn't really go anywhere though, to be fair. If I understood it correctly. So if Steam did it, then it was a big backlash. But same thing with, like, what was that game called? Sony published Helldivers 2. Where they suddenly decided that, no, you need a Sony account to play this game. And if you don't have a Sony account, you can no longer play the game. And some people who could purchase the game could no longer play the game because they cannot get a Sony account in their country, but they could purchase the game. So, as far as I've got information, this information could be wrong. Sony did not choose to stop selling the game in countries where they couldn't get Sony accounts in. That was a choice by Steam to remove the game from... I don't know if they refunded all the people who purchased it. But I've heard that it was Steam's choice to delist it from all those countries because they couldn't play the game anymore. I do not know what happened with the people who actually already purchased the game, if Steam refunded them or something. Did Steam refund users for Helldivers 2? Yeah, Helldivers 2 players are reporting successful refunds despite their playtime exceeded 2-hour limit. So yeah, so if you live in such country, you can probably ask for a refund and they probably will give you it. Yeah, here. Someone who has played the game for 225 hours still was allowed to get a refund. So yeah. So that's an example of that has nothing to do with a digital purchase or a physical disc game, but that's an example of license termination, I guess, in a sense, because they can no longer have a Sony account. But then Steam stepped in and like, no, then they'll probably just refund the people that you just revoked access to. Well, the people probably have to ask for a refund, but apparently they could ask for a refund and they will uphold it. Yeah, so to be entirely honest, I don't think they could get away with it even if they did. Realize how the agreement is worded. I think if they did suddenly just drop the agreement, there would be such a public outroar, it probably would appear in Parliament and discussed. Yeah, and I do hope that would happen. I wish it would happen now, but I think the Parliament discussion, not that Steam would do it. Companies have been forced to do pay and do things that I'm pretty sure were in the EULA. But people, piece and shit, and court agree things can be very aggressive even when said so. It's probably I'm not sure I followed the last part there, but The problem with the digital files is they are tied to Steam like they are coded to require Steam. That's what crack do, is remove the requirements. Yes, that is a problem. I do agree on that. I mean, that is also listening EULA. They do say you need an account. Yeah, it does. Yeah, but physical disks usually don't require an account. You are like, the comparison you've done so far is to old NES games, and yeah, you don't need an account for that. But when you reach the PlayStation 4, Xbox One era of games, you kind of need accounts for several games, which Helldivers 2 as an example. I don't know if it released physical though. A lot of games don't release physical, but it has nothing to do with physical reason not. They require you to connect to the internet, have an account, and like coded to must have a client. This is an issue a lot of people have complained about for many years back, when they purchase a game on disc but are still required to install a client, still required to connect to the internet and register an account to play a game they purchased a disc for. That has nothing to do with this. This is not the difference between disc-based and the digital downloads. They work the same. And in both situations, you can get the files onto your computer and crack it in both situations, so you don't have to register an account. But a lot of these are being told to check for the hardware it's running on, if there's a server connection externally before it can even run. Yeah, it happens to this fiscal dicks. Yeah, fiscal dicks. If Steam shuts down, you lose access to your Steam files. Yeah, that's a problem. But, well, no, that doesn't happen. If Steam shuts down, you still have access to all your digital downloads. You can't download them again, but you still have access to them. You will have to crack them to run the games. So that's a thing you have to do. And people are working on that, of course. People are still doing that's part of piracy. You still have the files. If Steam shuts down, your files are not just magically going to disappear. That's not how it works. They are on your hard drive. They are still located on it. Unless Steam decides to close this, close down the software. No, if they just done it now, just disappeared, you still have your files. If they decide to, no, as a last dick move, we're going to send out a new client update, and when you run Steam and have this client update, and after it has updated and launched, it deletes all your files, all the Steam games and stuff from your hard drive, which they could do. Then people will, that will spread quickly, that don't update the Steam client, because that will delete all your files. Don't run Steam client anymore. Find cracks for all your games and run it that way. A lot of people will likely lose their files, but I mean, if they just completely shut down without releasing that terrible update, then you will still have your files. You can't run them, which is the issue, but unless you crack them. But yeah. So again, it's the same between physical and digital. But no, Steam, if they shut down, they release the files and say fuck it, everyone gets the games. I hope they do. I do hope they, as a final goodbye, they release an update to every single game that you have purchased that unlocks them from Steam, that you can run them without Steam. That's just called a manware. I mean, I like physical dicks more than digital dicks. Oh, I guess. Steam did refund them because Steam isn't evil. Yeah, and that's a good thing. But, yeah. As long as Gaben is alive, yeah. As soon as Gaben dies or retires, and someone else is taking over, I'm not looking for that day. I'm not looking forward to that day. I hope Gaben can find someone as a replacement who has the same morals as he do. I also like referring to Gaben by his first name. He deserves to. To me, as a Swede, referring to someone by the first name is a sign of respect. Referring to someone by the last name is not a sign of respect. I know that in the Anglosphere it's kind of reverse, but so from my perspective, referring to Gaben by his first name is a form of kind of sign of respect. But I guess in the Anglosphere, that's more of a sign of familiarity, that he's one of us gamers, not a corporate dickhead. I can't think of anything else. But anyway, Fiscal doesn't really release in space. Yeah, for instance, that a lot of Nintendo is working on getting rid of physical games. Like, they're making it easier to get rid of physical games by releasing a digital, instead of buying your digital license from the internet, you're buying a digital license on physical cartridge, and then by inserting it, you get access to a digital copy of the game. And I mean, it's always a digital copy of the game, a downloaded copy of the game, not one on the cartridge. And then, but it does have the benefit of you can only play the game as long as you have it inserted. So it's similar to a physical game in that instead of downloading it from the cartridge or streaming it from the cartridge, you are downloading it from the internet. But you can sell it secondhand. Unlike a digital license, that's more of a physical license. So you can sell it on secondhand, means that you can no longer play the game, but whoever purchases it or gets it from you, if you hand it away, can now play the game using that cartridge. So it has a benefit over the digital only, like digital download game, with that. But of course, not having the actual files on the cartridge is an issue when the service goes down, which Nintendo does. So yeah, that's an issue. So it's not as good as a physical cartridge with the game on it. Say hello to Vanna Will. I should get it. This was a very interesting conversation. This guy told to check if the hardware is running or if it's even legal, if it's running on the correct region hardware. So, and games also sometimes won't go past the main menu if there is no internet connection. Also, crashes exist and are really easy to obtain on disk. I mean, that's also a point. But I mean, that's a good way of, when you get a disc-based game, make a digital copy of it. Therefore, if you get scratches on the disc, no problem. You still have all your files intact. But what good is a disc if you can't play it still because you have no internet connection? Yeah. And that's kind of... Wait. The answer starting a minute to... It was counting down to 1 minute, and now the message disappeared. Well, I'm also going to play out of my control, apparently. Having a device with the files on it has the benefit of that you have the files on it, and as long as you have it, you always have it. A digital download has the drawback of, I was going to say if you lose it, but you can lose a physical. A digital download has the benefit of, if you get a new device, if you lose the original hard drive, you get a new hard drive, you can download it. If you lose the original disc, your game is gone, you need to buy a new one. That's a digital download has benefit over that. But yeah, so there are benefits and drawbacks. But I understand there's more drawbacks to digital downloads, so I understand that, and there needs to be regulations. But yeah, there's that. But a lot of criticism of digital downloads also applies on disc-based games. It's established. And I hit it a bit too early.
Great lap. You placed last.
Great lap. Oh, you placed last. Yeah. That wasn't any good. No, Pokeball. Wait, what happened? just flew away at high speed. I don't know what happened there. Ow. Okay, squatting time. Oh, neat. Hello, Lost Hero. Quite interesting. No, yeah, I have fun with this. Okay, squatting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I made a mistake. 6. 7. She looks a bit worried. She's actually
8.
shaking. I haven't seen that either.
9.
I can also see that she's not
10.
holding the wand correctly. But I mean, we can't. Whoppa. Okay, so. They need food. So I will now. I think I drawn all the purple parts. So now I will make all the purple parts the same color. So I'll put all of these into a layer. And then I will basically use this one. So I will... okay, I should be able to copy... There we go. Copy style and paste the style here. But I still need to get the actual color of it as well. There. Wait. No, I did it wrong. That's the one I need to... No, that's wrong color. Did I miss any messages before the ads down? Yeah. It's just that message then. Hydrate and posture check, yes. That's me confirm that I did that. Plus throws. I didn't do that hydrate, so I'll refund it. Also, when Gaiman dies, I think he'll say in his will that Steam is to release all the files and shut down Steam so that his company never becomes evil. That would be epic. Problem is, though, while it would be epic if Gaiman would release Steam for everyone like that, the problem is that we don't have Steam for future games. And now have to rely on all other services that are not as great as Steam. So that would be a bad thing. Unfortunately. So I'm going to see how this looks. It's probably going to look really wonky and bad. But I tried to follow the how the original looks. Okay, let's switch over to Blender. I don't think I have... wait, I have Blender running here. There. So this one needs to switch over to Cocoa Crystal. Do you spell crystal with a K? And then there. I mean, it is very wonky. I guess when I add all the effects to it, this will look fine. And also, when you're looking far away, you're not going to see all the wonkiness of it. I'd already tried to follow it. Maybe I should have been less accurate and more... I don't know. So yeah. Lepic got a peanut and 500 points. Last 500 points. Wait, why am I upset I don't get ads? Cause some stuff... No, wait! Oh, no, I misread it. Wait, why am I upset? I don't get ads. Cause I'm subbed. You are subbed. Great laugh, Bun Bun. You placed last. Great laugh. You placed last. Quote, oh, balls. Not just any balls, but doughy balls. Quote, you sure have a lot of balls. 50 quotes with balls in the plural. But would you rather Steam become evil or not have Steam for future games? It is a good question. That's one of those. That's one of those. Would you rather? Would you rather have Steam cease to exist and release all that all games you currently purchased DRM free, so you can just play them offline without Steam client or anything like that, and with that, for any future games you have to rely on other services? Or would you rather have Steam continue to exist, still have a good service as it does now, as relatively good it is, and be able to purchase future games on it, for it to eventually evolve into an evil company, which certainly will happen at some point, and they will never release the DRM of the games you have ever purchased on Steam? So that's a would you rather? That's a question. Wonky's fun. Let's see, it's genuine. At least that's what I tell myself in my heart. But your art is cute. I mean, sure it's wonky, but all art is wonky in different ways. But I was thinking about maybe it's a bit overly wonky. It's just what I was feeling. And then the question is, should I spend more time trying to un-wonkify it, or should I just accept the wonkiness? It's mostly this part that is too wonky. Un-wonkifying it. Quote, don't poke my balls. Don't. Oh shoot, you get 5 more quotes if you write ball instead of balls. Quote, I'm going to throw my balls on you. I'd rather see it die good than see it live long enough to become the villain. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I guess that is fair. Gosh, that is fair, yeah. I'd rather see them die good than live long enough to become the villain. Remember, you either die a hero or live to see yourself become the villain. Oh, well, this game, I won't see that. Are you saying that I might turn to the dark side? No, I try to be reasonable. I hope I'm being reasonable. As in, trying to trying to be truthful and everything. With all my statements that I have made today. Because I do not side with companies. And that wasn't do not side with companies. And I do want regulations on digital sales. Like I am not on the company's sides. I want that to be clear. But I also want to be truthful. And want to actually genuinely look at the difference between, in this case, digital downloads and physical discs. And a lot of the criticism, not all of the criticisms, but a lot of the criticism against the digital downloads also applies to physical discs. But there are things that I'm glad it was brought up that actually are a drawback of digital purchases that physical discs have. In particular, the being able to have access to the specific version that you originally purchased, because Because, yeah, some games do get updates that changes things that some people don't want. I don't think I've ever had a game that have changed in so significant ways like that, though. I was playing games that don't get updates that really needs them, like Spyro and Crash. Because Spyro and Crash has some bugs and other issues that really needs to be resolved. And things I wish they didn't do their way, but it is Toys for Bobs, and they are Toys for Bobs. Unfortunately. They are Toys for Bobby Duck. Harvey Dent was the wise man when he said, "You either die here or live in after when you see we still become the hero." I kind of stumbled through that sentence, but yeah. Don't know who that is. But I sure made a dent. Oh, that was terrible. Lovely Tom. Oh yeah, touch my tummy. I have Overwatch changed the this. I have Overwatch changed the physical and Destiny 2. Overwatch stopped working, right? Are you like Overwatch has been a multiplayer game? It doesn't. Overwatch does not have any single player, if I understood it correctly. So the only way, if I am not wrong, so and the only way for you to be able to continue playing the game would be, well, first off, being able to host your own server, and then also finding people who you want to play with. Because, yeah, without that, it's not going to be much of a game. I'll play, because I don't play much of those games apparently, that has, because I would probably have a different perspective if I played more games that were more service-based, more games for service. What do they call them? Games as service. Because I've purchased games that sure still has DRM. I can't play Crash 4 without an internet connection, which is terrible. I probably can't play the other Crash and Spyro games that I purchased from Steam either without an internet connection. Which is terrible. I will have an internet connection and I have like 2 points of internet connection through the same company, sure. And internet in Sweden is quite good, so I do not see a risk of losing internet access. But, I mean, there has been moments where this internet actually does disconnect at midnight, and I guess it's maintenance or something. And it's terrible. It is indeed terrible. But yeah. But that's because Crash 4 is through Battle.net Activation. Yeah. How do you not know Harvey Dent? I don't know Harvey Dent. You know Two-Face from Batman? I do know about Two-Face. Who is like the guy... Is it the guy who... flip a coin? Or is that some other character? I don't know much about... I know Batman, like Batman, Bruce Wayne... a vigilante, but I never consumed any of that media. Such a fluffy town. It does look extra fluffy when it's contrasted with white, doesn't it? But at least my ball is pink. There you go, that's a singular ball. Also, you did a random quote and get one with ball. Which should have a lower odds of appearing because you have done a lot of ball quotes already. So while you could argue, well, it's 55 quotes out of 085, so it's got a high chance, but not because you have removed a lot of the ball quotes already. That means that not as many ball quotes are there. It only has a pool of 185 quotes to pick from at a time at random. Because it can't pick off the last 200 unique quotes. Quote, Pon is admitting that her two balls are like. Two-Face is the guy with the coin. Well, see, I know something, but I don't know much. At least indie games are thriving somewhat. Yeah. That is good. I'm playing indie games like Euro Truck Simulator too. It's independently developed and yeah. It counts, right? I did have some guy who made a website like trying to, which was meant to promote indie games, and like, well, I've seen that you played Euro Truck Simulator, so here's some a website for promoting indie games. Well, I guess it is an independent developed game. Not really a game I would think of when for indie games, but technically it means independent developed. So I mean, if you look at the very core of it, if you want to be picky. Indie games are putting AAA to shame. Yeah, I really don't play much of the games. You're not seeing me playing like the latest games on stream. I have an aversion of gacha games because it's a terrible for consumers. I would never play a gacha game on stream. And I had someone say like, you should play this game, but that's a gacha game or loot box game. Like I would never play that. And then the response to the reply response, that's correct, you're right. To that was, well then there won't be any games for you to play. What? There's loads of games that are gacha loot box games that I would play. I do not play games which has that's a thing that I think Steam should have. I want a tag, a warning basically, for games, and I do kind of feel like it should also be illegal almost. Speaking of regulations, I want a tag or something that can tell me if a game contains where you can make a purchase with physical real life money, or through something that you can acquire through real life money, where the price is random, or that you have a random chance of getting said price. I am fine with if they have a product with a set price of it. You pay that price, you get the thing. I'm fine with that. I played Euro Truck Simulator. It has DLC. That's how it works. I do not get a random DLC pack or have a chance of getting a DLC pack when I purchase it. I get it when I purchase it. And I'm fine with that. But when I have random chance with the purchases, I want a warning for that. If it's, and I'm specifically talking about real life money or something that you can acquire through real life money. And yeah, I want a warning on that on Steam. I'm playing No Man's Sky. Ooh, that's not... I was gonna say, ooh, that's indie. No, that's not indie. That's published by Sony. That's funded by Sony, as far as I know. I wonder what Euro Truck Sim 1 was like. I mean, it's still available. It's still available to purchase, and that's good. I don't know if it's like it had some updates, I think, but it's available. I could like I had the idea of like purchasing when it's on sale and playing it just for the fun of it, just to see what it is like. You only hear about Euro Truck Sim 2 and American Truck Sim. Yep. Must be sad living in a world where all the video games you know are only gacha. Yeah. That must be how Japan lived. No, but I know there's a lot of gacha games from Japan and China. It also aren't those games also the ones that are mostly affected by updates and stuff. But anyway, yeah, I don't want to play any gacha games. But I just wish there was an easier way to see if a game is a gacha or not. Can we get Steam to do that? Or like gacha loot box or anything? It should, as my definition was, is very simple. If you can directly use real life money, or if you can purchase something with real life money that you then can purchase something with, that counts too. So even if you have a long chain, as long as you can acquire it through real life money. This does not include channel points. As an example, this does not include, for example, the coins in Smash Bros, because you can't purchase those with real life money. It does not include channel points on Steam. It does not include channel points on Twitch, because you can't purchase channel points on Twitch through real life money. You can, however, give bits and do a gift sub and get a bonus channel points through that. But that's just once per month for either of those two, if I understood it. I've never done it myself. And, well, I guess I have, but I haven't really paid attention to it. And also, if you sub, you get a higher rate of channel points income. But you can't purchase channel points directly through money, so that doesn't count. That's an example of where it doesn't count. But if you have like get 1,000 for €1, then you purchase directly through channel real money. And so yeah, and then if you use these, now they've established what it is, and if you use these to purchase something in the game, and the reward is random, doesn't matter how it's random. If you can't choose specifically what individual item you want, or if it's a pack, which pack you want, which the individual item is in, should still not be random. Nothing should be random. But if anything is random, I want a warning on that. And that's the line I draw. Doesn't matter how it's random. If it's a random item, if it's a random chance of getting or not getting it, which sounds like a terrible system, then then I want a warning. As simple as that. I hope that makes sense. Can we get Steam to implement that? That would be so lovely. I don't know what it would be called. It needs to be called something that makes it very obvious that this is what it is. Because they shouldn't call it like... I know they have like a warning for like in-game purchases, but that's not what I'm talking about. This is an type of in-game purchase, but I'm talking about a very specific way of doing purchases. Imagine if you bought a Euro Truck 2 dock pack, DLC pack, and it just gave you a random one, and there was no way of knowing what it is until you download it. Yep. A loot box, basically. And then you can get duplicates too, and then you have 2 of the same DLC pack. Congratulations! I honestly don't see the appeal of a game like gacha. Yeah, it is the thing that it is these random gifts and stuff, and with I think it was explained. I could have got the explanation wrong, but I think one element of gacha, not all of gacha, is that when you make a purchase, you have a chance of getting it for that price, or you fail. And then you can try to purchase that thing again, like a character, for example. And after a repeat amount of purchases, you will eventually get it. Like, you have a chance of getting it for each purchase, but after like 20 purchases, you will guaranteed get it. And you pay like €5 each or something like. So you can get it for €5, or you can get it for €100 for one character. So, and it's this gambling thing. They are like gambling sense of us, of our humans. Like it's exciting, and if you actually get it for cheap, that's amazing. But obviously, they're not going to make it easy to get it for cheap. But it's pure gambling. But I'm luckily, I mean, I'm still excited about gambling. I do gambling on with channel points on some streams, and that's fine because it's just useless points. But well, not channel points. You can't gamble channel points, but you can gamble the other types of points that exist on a channel. And that stuff is exciting, but I only do that with fictional money, not real life money. So I feel a disgust with this kind of form of business practice. So I would not fall for it because I'm disgusted by it. And as soon as I see a streamer play such a game, I do not want to watch that. I would just feel, I wouldn't feel good about watching it. And it's a shame. In multiple ways, I guess. Imagine using channel points on Steam. Like if we could choose what channel we want to use the points from and buy games. But Steam does have its own points. Where can I see my points? Activity? No. Inventory? No. Oh yeah. Store and point shop. There we go. I do have points. I do have 18,000 points. So they have their own point system. You get points every time you make a purchase, or maybe other stuff too. If they could have maybe like, I don't know exactly how you can purchase with points reaction on comments, which gives the one who you commented on the points. What they could do is allow you to use points to make your purchase cheaper. I don't know how many points you have to spend to for an equivalent currency unit, but that's an idea. Use them to purchase, and that would be like a certain number of points equals 1 unit of currency, so you can use up a certain amount of points to reduce the price. So you can purchase it cheaper, or you can reduce it to 0 and get it for free. Well, free. I mean, you pay with your points, which you got through payments, but still. That's an idea. And then Steam would be the one responsible for. Steam would be the one paying the seller. Then that would be taken out of Steam's wallet. But it's an idea. If you want like a point system on Steam. Spend a rush of hundreds of dollars for one character, only for that same character to be changed later on. Nerfs is dumb to me. That's also a good point. Nerfs. Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah. And also, why would you spend so much money on a single individual item in a game? Which is also a thing. So while I said that I'm fine with if you can make a payment and get exactly what you're looking at, and I'm fine with that. And therefore, I am not fully against the idea of microtransactions, but I am against how it's done. Because some of those prices are ridiculous. So if the prices were more reasonable, it would be fine, I guess. But they are not reasonable. Which is a problem. I will create a normal for this. So this is indented. Okay, wait, how was I thinking about it? We will need a... Okay, how big is it? Because then it needs to be... So it is indented and then goes up like that. But yeah, so yeah, the problem I have with microtransactions is basically they're too expensive. It's it's better than loot boxes, but it's just so ridiculously expensive. Like they're selling some of these things for like sometimes more than you can purchase a game for. So it's ridiculously expensive. Seeing games where you can buy an outfit. Sure, the outfit is detailed, but the outfit costs like, what did I say, like €12 for one outfit. Comes in different colors though. For one outfit. And I just that's a bit much, I think. For an outfit. Let's do that. Let's see if this works. Wait, and then I will... No, wait, I don't need to duplicate it. I can just disable this one. And then I put this as... No, which means to be here, right? Something like that. So yeah, so if the prices for microtransactions, which shouldn't be called microtransaction because they're so expensive for those macrotransactions, if they were like more reasonably priced, it would just be like DLC. But microtransactions for consumables, that's the appeal is gambling humans are weird for risk equals. Yeah, that is the thing. I know it's the same with auctions. I could get the item for cheap or I could spend more and it's worth trying to get it. At least with auction, you don't pay. Unless you are like, if you make these bids, as long as someone is bidding higher than you, you're not paying. So There are auctions where you do pay for every bid you do, which is terrible. Those are some greedy auctions. But as long as it's a standard auction, whoever bids the highest is the one getting it. At least you're not paying for it for every bid you do. Actually, something that's reasonable in the world of consumerisms. I wonder if this will look good. Let's paste in the normal map and see. Let's go to the normal map, which is this one, and this should go there, I think. Yes. So get everything in the correct same order. There it is. And then I don't need the rest. So if I try to save this, I want to see how it looks on the model. And also I feel like I just need to use the bathroom for some reason. Usually I used it before in streaming update. This might work. Doesn't show as much at the front because of the light, but yeah, I think this can work. Maybe it should be a bit less, and then there should be, these should also be raised. Wait, what's going on here? I didn't update this one. No, that should be. Yeah. This works. I will make it a little bit smaller, and yeah, which, as I said, I use the question. So you have to watch some ads, or if you have ads. Like she stopped, and we'll continue after. It might. I think 1 and 3 minutes. We'll see. Oh, the lark is working. Finally. I have succeeded in something. And yes, thank you for the lark. And hi to you too. Alice, nice to see you around. See, that wasn't the exit, that was a one. Okay, now it's going terrible again. I got all the chests without flame. I'm the great bunny. Okay, but what's the point? Oh, I see. Wait, which is C? Okay, so it's C, D, E, F, G, A, H. Wait, which is C? Wait. That's C, right? Yeah, okay, wait. I don't care which. I don't care how many steps it goes. So it goes 1, 2, 2, 2. Okay, so 1, 2, 2, 2. So that will be C, H, G, E, C. C, H, G, E, C. I did it! I actually figured it out. H. Yeah, there's no H. There is H in music. I see your future. I see a shining light. You're going towards it. You're dead. It was a train. First try! Definitely. I did not struggle that level. I mean, I do enjoy that it actually gives me a challenge. I'm actually struggling with the game. I'm actually enjoying being able to beat these levels. This must be what Lolity feels like playing Spyro and Crash. I just want to say, can you please find some more coal? It just sounds more natural to me. The whole, can you find some more coal, please? That just sounds artificial to me. Can you find some more coal, please? I know that's a sentence, but it's so hard for me to say it. Should put that in the middle.
I'm gonna do bad. I'm gonna try and text and drive at the same time.
You can barely drive and drive at the same time.
It's not gonna be that different, I don't think.
Fine.
There we go. Easy peasy. Oh, I have now okay, no, okay. I guess not. Do you want to shoot me? Oh yeah, you want to shoot me? Please? Thank you. I never thought of breaking the shells like... Wait, how did you break them? Oh, perfect timing. What other ways? Thank you, Mara. I mean, unless you meant using the cannon yourself. But I cannot use the cannon because I'm just a bunny. Bunnies cannot use cannons. She needs help. No. You didn't even touch me. So, at least touch me. As I said, I'll be happy with how it looks. I'll play with the other effects. Wait, let's switch screen first. So, I'm happy with how it looks. I will after applying... What is it? Something random. After applying the effects, it will look nice. Also... There we go. Where was I? Where did I left off? Quotes, I do like being lewd, but I guess you kind of have a point with auctions that it does have this like, oh, I'm willing to pay this much, but I mean, I could just bet a little bit more. I mean, it's not that much more, is it? So I could see auctions. He's disconnected. Yeah, something weird happened there for a moment. Anyway, yeah, as I was going to say, apparently I guess I wasn't allowed to say it, it's disconnected. Fun, be quiet about the auctions. No, but that auctions are at least reasonable in the sense of whoever is willing to pay the most is the one who gets it. It just seems like a reasonable concept, and so yeah, I'd say doesn't make every auction handled correctly though, but it seems like a quite reasonable thing. So as I said, these dots here should also be like erased, since that's what they were in the original here. They have like a ring around them, so I'll take that into consideration as well. This is Enrique Iglesias. I don't know. I'm not created. Who is from Spain? Let's see. Cool. How do you like being difficult? Pon likes balls, so good. Oh, you have a long tongue. Oh, tongue emote. Pon doesn't have a like a screen emote. By the way, Mariah Carey is the frosting. I've started here in Christmas. Oh yeah. Already? It's just September. According to me, winter starts either on the 1st of December or the first on the 1st of Advent. There we go. That was what it was called. Whichever comes first. That's the start of Christmas for me. No, start of winter for me. And you can introduce Christmas music at that point. Yeah. So this will be white. Not outside, inside. Yeah. Large my definition. And there was a thing when I tried to like look up what different countries' definitions of winter is, but that was very hard to find information of, because I guess countries don't have different definition of winter. All the sources I tried to find was like, no, winter starts on the winter solstice. I'm like, I'm Swedish, and in Sweden the winter solstice was the old definition. It was like known as in the past, like 800 years ago, but still as the mid-winter something whatever. It's the middle of the winter on the winter solstice. That's culture I've grown up with. But also there are two other definitions. There's the scientific definition. Would it be no? What would you call that? Weathery definition of when winter starts, which is based on the temperature. Temperature-based definition of winter. And then there's the calendaric definition as well. Although I should probably not crop it. Maybe it was better than how it was before. Maybe that is fine. And the temperature base is basically, I think it's something like the average temperature has to be negative for 5 days in a row. Which means that the winter starts in different times in different places. And the calendaric definition is the 1st of December, start of winter. And I find it interesting that I couldn't find that different countries had different definitions. Sweden can't be the only country with their own definitions of winter, right? But then I actually did find out that in the United Kingdom, the common definition of when winter starts is the 1st of December. So I just remember that, yeah, I did actually found that information too. So yeah. So different countries do have different definitions. It's just hard to find, apparently. And I find that stuff interesting. I like culturally different things. And that's why I'm getting sad when a lot of these things are hard to come by, because I can't find stuff. Or when people forget the cultural differences in this stuff and adapt a single definition. Which of course is convenient if everyone has the same definitions. I will not disagree with that, but I like differences. I forgot to read the I forgot to read the comments. I think I have that one song on sheet music somewhere. You should play it. That song. That's the All I Want for Christmas Is You. I guess I have to add it to karaoke. I guess we should have a Christmas-based karaoke in December. Those online auction sites that advertise as being able to win items with $1,000 MSRP for less than $5 or so, sure. if you don't count the hundreds you spent just to make a bid in the first place. Yeah, those sites. Yeah, because there's like a site I know which was like the cent bidding. You pay a price to make a bid and increase the bid by 1 cent. A Swedish cent, so öre as it's known as, which is a tenth of a equivalent tenth of a euro cent. A cent euro as it should be called, a euro cent. And yeah, it's just you have to pay for every bid you make, so there's another thing that should be regulated. I haven't seen that around so much. I wonder if it has been regulated, or if people just didn't fall for it and actually did realize how quite a scam it is. And then there's like, it's not working, let's stop doing it. Which I hope. I hope people are intelligent enough. Please, people, be intelligent. I thought I fixed that one. Alright. Well, this one is still wrong. Got to change that one. In my fantasy. That's the song. That's what the lyrics are. He's singing about that in his fantasies. He's rolling around among soft pillows. Wait. Wait, why is this on the line? Okay. Okay, he's actually saying that, yeah, in his fantasy, this person, that they are together, that this person loves him and so on. So I guess in reality, the love isn't being reciprocated. Is that the correct term? Yeah. And you still pay him if you don't win. Yeah, it's terrible. I hear you back there. Yeah. Oh, I guess it's the day of being disconnecting now all of a sudden. This is not great. Coach, I'm not trusting you, pig. Not because you're a pig, but because you lied. If you go about negative temperature for 5 days in a row to defy winter, then it is never winter here. And yeah, I mean, it is obviously a definition set in Sweden, based on Swedish culture. But yeah, I still think you could have a definition like that globally, because if some places just don't have winter, and that's okay. We might get negative temperature for maybe 2 days, but they don't stay negatives all day. Yeah, it should be, I think it's like average temperature for the day, so. I need to find a list of like temperatures and just see when the winter starts and ends in places. That would be nice to see. Time change and so does words sometimes. It's weird. I mean, sure, but like, this is more of a like a legal, and in this case it's not a legal definition, but more like the kind of like a definition set by some organization kind of deal here. And people use it in different ways. Like how everyday people use it what they refer to when they say winter, and that could be anything. Of course. Of course, of course. But yeah, I have people tell me like, no, it's winter according to this definition. Okay, but that does not align with what my country says. Actually. Anyway, with all these effects set up now, the normal map, the normal map, color map, the roughness map, oh yeah, and the metallic map, oh yeah, there we go. Now it looks now so after you sure, it might be wonky, but after you apply all these effects, the wonkiness is not as apparent anymore. I looked into one of those sites long ago. Once I saw that you have to buy beats, I was like, nope, I'm not gonna pay to lose. Yeah, that's fair. You have a good sense. It's like the there's a race that happens occasionally in Finland, I think. In this race, I assume, based on how it started, so all I want to know about is it's a 5,000 crowns, so equivalent to 500 euro. Considering it's a really old one, and it happened in Finland, unless it was started by some, no, even if it's by Swedish people. So I assume it was started with Finnish marka but possibly. But anyway, I think it was 5,000 Swedish crowns. So 500 euros is a car race. You can enter this car race with whatever car you want, but after the race is over, or as part of the race, you cannot give up the rights to the car, and anyone has the right to buy it for 500 euro. If no one wants it, it's your cars. But if someone wants to buy it, it's theirs, and you can't say anything about it. So I assume you write contracts and stuff at the start of the race. It's an interesting idea for a race, because then you don't want to compete with a too good of a car. I mean, you could compete with a supercar if you want, but then someone obviously wants to buy it, and you will lose it for 500 euro. But of course, multiple people might want the same car, so now we're having an issue here. So their solution is that you pay 500 euro for a ticket for that car. Well, disconnected again for some reason. That's the third time now. I don't know why it's doing that. Yeah, I was trying to say. It does shift in brightness, not really sure why. But yeah, I should really put some more... Well, I should probably fix this one first. There. Let's do that. Yeah, so I assume the winner only gets 500 euro after someone purchases it. But yes, what I was just thinking about what we're talking about the auctions. It's not an auction, since everyone pays the same price, but it has similarity to the whole buying beats. And I was thinking about it. Maybe Janerto knows about it. Janerto. How does this work? This looks a bit weird. Oh wait, it needs... I see now. So if I dissolve these, that's more okay. Now I can't dissolve those, and this should be more like that, and more like that. Okay, that might get close to what I want. Bad connection today, apparently so. As speaking about the bad internet before it. Yeah, that's one of the issues with this mobile internet. Some days it just goes on fine for very long, but some days it's like that. Or it keeps disconnecting. And what were we talking about? Because that's isolation. It still has this kind of jagged edge. I'm not really sure why, but it's better. It is better like that. Also, it has an underside, which needs fixing as well. Let's flip them like that. Okay, I should probably switch to this view so I see it better. No, it was that one I wanted. Wrong word. There. That's probably fine. You know, ask Janetta, have you heard about this race? Heard about it? I've been in it. No. What were we talking about? That's actually their model, going on sunk cost fallacy to get you to keep bidding even after you probably spend more on bids than the value of the item. Yes, exactly. I didn't think about that. I often try to think about the sunk cost fallacy because it's a good thing to be aware of. But I forgot about thinking about it in this case. But yes, actually, definitely true. Welcome to back again. Well, thank you. When Polish immigrants first moved to Panna Maria, Texas, or is it what? Panna Maria. They wrote letters home and described the area as land without winter. Because I did try to look up what Poland's definition of winter is, but they only gave me the astronomical definition, which kind of, unfortunately, I searched by translating my search terms into Polish and went by that. Maybe I should just write a letter to the biggest weather stations of each country and asking them if they have a definition, because the biggest weather institute organizations in Sweden has their own definition, which is the 5 days in a row with negative degrees to get winter started, and then 5 days with positive degrees for when winter ends. But winter can't end, like if winter started, it can't end too early. So you don't have winter starting, ending. And it can't start like in the middle of the summer. Like it's like limited to like the winter time, kinda. It's a bit more detailed than that. Like, I don't think winter can end before it's February, for example. Which you could argue, like, that's not really how you should do it. But it doesn't make sense. I do want to visit Texas. There are some things that kind of makes me wary. Is that correct term? Wary meaning feeling of showing extreme tiredness. No. Reluctant to see or experience any more of. No, still that's not cause to be tired, to grow tired of, bored of. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Wary feeling of showing caution about possible danger or problems. There we go. I spelled it wrong. Wary, W-A-R-Y, should be wary or wary, but wary. Yes, feeling of showing caution about possible danger or problems. There we go. Yeah. So, yeah. Would love to visit, but I'm also cautious for valid reasons, I feel like. But that's the people, some of the people. Not, but I would still like to visit, like, the landscape. The landscape, it would be very lovely to see. Because I like the different landscapes and, like, architectures of different areas. I find that interesting. And it's also nice to meet some of the people. Some of the people, it doesn't matter where you go. Like, yeah, I've said that I visited, like, Central Europe. And yeah, like got a ride to with because I was renting a car, and they had a service that, as part of renting a car, they pick you up at the airport and drive you to the rental service without extra cost, which is nice. I mean, it's certainly built into the price already, so everyone has to pay for it because it's an expense on their part. As I was going along, they were like, then the driver was like, not exactly complaining, but giving like a bad, call it peak in Swedish. I think that would be applicable here. Negative, gave a negative vibe towards the Romani people. There we go. Which there's quite a hatred towards the Romani in Central Europe. And we don't have that to that extent in Sweden, so that was quite an experience to have a someone who is going to provide me with a service. In this case, we're going to sign a contract of me renting a car, and they're sharing their opinions about the Romani that openly. They have no idea what connections I have to that. They just and that's bold, I would say. And so let's see, shiny shoulder thing. Yep, it's indeed. How it stays there is beyond me. If I want to keep a spoiler on my shoulders, I need to secure it to something, usually chainmail underneath. But if you do look at the model, oops, wrong one. Okay, I moved it. But anyway, so if we remove that piece, there is nothing there. This piece that is further down, which is also moved, which I'll have to make as well. It has straps. That will make the straps too. But not here. There's no straps here. Also. Yeah. Yeah. So if I want to stay accurate, there's no straps. So yeah, who knows how it stays on? It's with magic, I guess. Yeah, the bracer has obvious straps to hold it in place. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Should I add it anyway, or should I stay accurate? should I look at the lovely pictures of... yeah, here it's even in 3D, unlike in Ultimate where it's 2D. But it's hard to see here, but... there doesn't seem to be anything there holding it in place. It's just placed on top there, and also there's 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of 5 polygons. Yeah, there's nothing holding it in place. Hey, accurate. Okay, I mean, it lets work for me, so yeah. Then I'd say it's done. In that case. Magic like how your dress reappears. Oh, you don't like that magic. You wish it would stay disappeared forever. Oh, I see what you're going after. Yeah, you like it when... Oh, maid. Nice choice, Orion. We do like maids. So I have to create the next one. Already created this one. I'd say this one went fine though. So that's all good. So I guess I can delete the old one, I guess. Keeping the new one. Wait. So I'm deleting piece after piece until I've made all pieces. 15 points left. Being made dark. Everything is same color. My pattern is gone. I'm naked. But yeah, I shouldn't go on for too long because there's going to be a collab. And it's been established that the I will have to make this nice this way. The collab will happen 20 my time. So we just I'm so dark. We just passed the full hour. So so if you go back to whatever full hour was a quarter hour ago. We just called it a quarter in Swedish. And then we that just reminds me of other stuff. And then you add 3 hours. That's when it was. So it's 3 hours from now. 2 3/4 from now. I guess you can say. Now, for some reason, it's made me think of how... I need to count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 24. How the US have quarters as a denominator. I don't know these fancy terms. For the and how it's kind of like a form of a joke I've come up with, which is not based on reality. That it is said that while the US doesn't use the metric system commonly, that it at least have like metric-like currency, but it isn't. I'd say that the US currency is more like the so-called imperial units. I think after many times, I think I got it now, that you have this 5 pennies to a nickel, 2 nickels to a dime, 2.5 dimes to a quarter, and of course 4 quarters to a dollar. And I hope that was great, because then I actually remember what it is, but I'm not that fast at it. And that's a complicated system. I know it's based on 100, that yeah, it is 1, 5, 10, 25, and then you also have a $0.50, but that wouldn't be as fun to include. and I know it is still based on 100, and as I said, these specific numbers, but that's not how, as far as my experience, in where my confusion is getting when people are talking about this, is that's not how it's used. In like, sure, obviously when you say a price is like 5 and 25 or something like that. No, 5 and 23, I meant to say. But people still like to refer to the specific names of these specific divisions. And from my experience, that's basically like the imperial system. Because I mean, in the imperial system, you could also, I'm sure it's not based on 100, but in imperial system, you could still see like all the units as inches, and a foot is just 12 inches, and a yard is just 36 inches, and a mile is 36,620 inches. It's not that number, but and a chain is a certain number of inches. The nominations, if you're referring to currency, and there we go. Yesterday, Void font by kind of used to have a 0.5 cent, 2 cent piece at dime, a half dime, 5 cents, not a nickel. Wait, did you have a half dime and a nickel at the same time? And a 20 cent piece? Yeah, it makes it even more complicated. Because that's the difference between the European euro. The euro also has cents, but that's the difference. Euro, while it has 1 cent, 5 cent, I just don't know what denominations do euro have. I mean, I don't use euro myself, so 1, 2, 5. 10, 20, 50. Okay, it does follow this 1, 2, 5 pattern, even in the sense. That does make sense that they do follow it, because then it's 1 full euro, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, 500. And if it did continue, it would be 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. So yeah, so... Okay then. So 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50. But that's the thing, they don't have any special names. It's a 1 cent, 2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, 20 cent, 50 cent. And that's it. They don't have any fancy names. There is no dimes or nickels or pennies or... Did you have any trimes? That's just... Difference between half dime and nickel was the half dime contained silver. The nickel had no silver, made of nickel, hence the name. Interesting. No nickel replaced the half dime after fake believe money replaced silver in the currency. Yeah, that thing. Okay, let's ignore that attempt I'm trying with there. Yeah. Fake money. So that's an interesting difference in how it's used. And that's why I have an issue with Well, yeah, that's basically my struggle with the Imperial units, because you have a lot of different units. And if I understood it correctly, in like schools in the US, you learn about these different terms for currency, and have to calculate, like, if I have a quarter and 2 nickels, how much money is that, or something like that. Well, in Europe, if you were to, I mean, sure, in Europe you also have like maths with that, but the equivalent would be like, if you have, well, there's no quarter in the coin, but if you have a 1 20-cent coin and the 2 10-cent coins, I mean, that's just 20 plus 2 times 10. It doesn't really work the same. I find the, as I said, I like differences in cultural differences, how things are different. I don't know, because I don't know. I currently do not know any other currency currently in circulation that has names for the individual denominators. Is dominations? Okay, that's the yeah, that's the division of the unit. Yes. Because I do know, like, in Canadian has the $2 coin that is called no, actually, no, I don't remember what it was called. Oh no. Like, there's like that, but I feel like it's not really used. It's more like the name of the coin rather than. I mean, I understand that's kind of like the case when you use it too. If I'm not mistaken, that's those terms are more like the names of the coins rather than actual values itself. But I feel like they are still used often to refer to the values too. I could be wrong. I could be wrong because I don't live there. Still surprised we even use the penny in the US. I feel like that's yeah, like a lot of countries still have like those low values. Because there are countries that have got rid of them. For example, in Sweden and the Netherlands. Netherlands they're using here. New Zealand have also removed lower their certain value, like, so Sweden got rid of. Sweden had 1 to, I think, 2, 5, 10, 25, 50 as the divisions, but they removed like 1 and 2 and 5, and when they removed 5, they also removed 25 at the same time. So you only had 10 and 50, I think, something like that. So you only worked in steps of 10. And then remove 10, and that's as far back as I remember. I only remember back to when you had the 50. But then, not quite a while ago actually now, they've also removed the 50, so you don't have any denominations at all. But when you still had the full 1 unit, but it was rounded to the nearest when you paid in cash. So and it was round, so 0 to 24 was rounded down, 25 to 50 was rounded up, which you could say, like, so it's always benefited the store, of course. So 25 to 74 was rounded to 50, 24 to 74, 25 to 74, there we go. 75 to 99 was rounded up, or 75 to 24, I guess, is rounded to a whole unit. There we go. So and I don't know how low I mean, I could just search for it. New Zealand dollar. The lowest value currently is 10 cents. So they got 10, 20, and 50 cents. And as far as I know, they call it Swedish rounding. Yeah, so lowest is in New Zealand is 10 cents. There's nothing lower in coins. If you pay digitally, you can probably pay lower than 10 cents. Which is the case in Sweden. So we still have the cent equivalent. If you're paying digitally. And the penny used to be much bigger. It used to be bigger than the modern quarter. Heck, even the half cent was bigger than the modern penny. If only by a couple millimeters. Damn, inflation. That's opposite inflation. It's shrinking. Deflation. No, it's inflation of the current value, of course. Quote, I am playing a game about inflation. But I could imagine people in the United States and also like in the United Kingdom too, because I think they also use the lowest, the one denominator, that people would complain if they actually made it official that it is removed from circulation. And when they do, at least in Sweden as far as I know, if you still have such coins, you would be able to, at some point they make this first, they make it from this date, we stop producing them, but they are still legal tender until this date, so use them up until that time. And after that point, you can still return them to the bank. Up until a certain point when it no longer is valid. But I could see people complaining still. Like if you ever had that your whole life, like in Sweden we constantly removed lower and lower values, so it wasn't like, I mean, to be fair, when I was growing up I only knew it was like the full unit and also half a unit, and that's all that existed in coins. But so there was no yeah. So I wasn't going through the previous removals, but still removing it was still not a big of a change, especially since I didn't use much coins when I removed it anyway. I was sick. Did I make it? Hold on, you can't just ask how sick you mean it. 25. You giggle. Yeah. Finding stuff interesting. Okay, so I will rotate these. Let me first find the correct size. I'll go with that. Oh, I can't see. I mean, what I can do is set up a second camera, which is really nice in Blender that you can. Well, you can add a lot of 3D software to be fair. But because then I can rotate it here and see how it affects here. Pretty cool. I'd say. Ham. Let's go with that. no, I threw away the old view. Any US coin that was in circulation is legal tender and is still guaranteed its face value. That is quite different. I wonder how if that applies to other currencies. Regardless of how old it is, however, good luck with meeting someone who will give you a coin containing about $40 of silver in a $1 transaction. Yeah, that's fair too, and that's just the silver value. The collector's value of such a coin will be even higher. That is true too. And I mean, that could also be used as an argument for why it should be taken out as a legal tender, because it would not change its collector value. It will not change its silver value. Its face value is useless basically. So I have it not as legal tender because I could imagine it just being technically you have to accept it and deal with it and stuff. I could see that being a headache. And how does that work with like when they introduce that's why a lot of currencies does not allow older stuff to be legal tender, because newer stuff have a lot of security features, and that's why older coins and notes are removed to get rid of counterfeit stuff. And if someone actually managed to make a convincing looking one that has been accepted as legal tender, it will therefore be taken out of circulation as well. So you get rid of fake money as well. Because no one could tell it is fake because it looks too real. But I also understand, like, regardless of how old your money is, you will always be able to use it. Different views. And different views are cool. Okay, because I still have the old settings here, I should be able to do the texture transfer now without an issue. Hopefully. Hopefully. I can't imagine what the gold market is like then. Even South Park makes it jokes about how bad it is. No idea. No idea. What I should probably have. I should probably have fixed up this shape more. Like, how should this part look like? Because it currently is boop boop. Should it look like that? Should it be a smooth? I think it's supposed to be smooth. I probably should have fixed the shape first. So let me do that first. Not that it rendered the image anyway, annoyingly. It's still having that issue. For some reason, don't know what it is. There we go, I should be able to delete there. Then what do I do too? Gold is currently $3,650 an ounce. Is that a troy ounce? And silver is $41.50 an ounce. Because of course you have to measure gold and silver and all the precious metals. in a different unit of mass than what you normally use. Well, in the metric world, it's just grams. Grams of gold, grams of silver. That's also an interesting difference. Which again reminds me of that silly comment when someone said like 1 gram of gold is like 15 grams of gold. Because they either they made a complete refer to the wrong thing there. I think they said like 1 gram of gold weighs 15 grams or something like that. I think the comment was, and it could be it could possibly be that the person thought there was some kind of Troy gram or something. Like there's a Troy ounce. Or the person was referring to something completely different. Because 1 gram to Troy ounce isn't going to work. But maybe they were referring to 1 Troy ounce to grams. No, that's 31, so that would be half a Troy ounce. That doesn't work either. 1 non-Troy ounce, that's 28 grams, so that also doesn't make sense. But with the ounce we're talking about, there's so many ounces. Because there's the imperial fluid ounce, which is one fluid ounce. 1 imperial fluid ounce is the one weighs or have the mass of 1 ounce. I don't remember the name of it. Which is different from a US fluid ounce, I think, is it? I could be wrong about that. No, it looks to be similar. Yeah, they are very similar though. Okay, one. Yeah, I don't know. They seem to be different. Yeah. 1 ounce is that way. Yeah. Avoirdupois. Here we go. Avoirdupois. I don't know how it's. Let me see. It should have its own dictionary, right? There we go. Okay, it does have 2 pronunciation. It comes from French, so the English one based on French would be avoir du poids. Avoir du poids. But it also has the pronunciation avoir de poise. Avoir de poise. Which is stated is the only pronunciation in the US. But it feels weird to call it poise. It feels more correct calling it pois. Avoir du pois. Avoir du pois. Avoir du pois. It's French, you ignore the vowels. Actually, it's French, you ignore the consonants. I mean, at least when it comes to the final word pois, I can see the pois in the vowels. The S isn't pronounced. and the other part of it is, and the other part is the avoir. I could see the avoir in the vowels there too. It's just that the consonants are gone. French is spoken without consonants. Avoir point. Avoir point. There we go. So where's the flippability so I can flip where the French can ignore vowels? It's more the vowels are kind of melting together like in English, but a lot of so the so the OI is like oh, I guess, I don't know, but if it's OIR it's more like, well, those says it oh. I guess it's OI is just the R sound. Avoir point. There we go. But not nasal like that though. Avoir de pois. Avoir de pois. Avoir de pois. French ignore most of the letters it claims to. French spelling is interesting. It's consistent enough that you can figure out its pronunciation from its spelling. But if you don't know the rules, it can look like a mess. And I don't know the rules, it looks like a mess. But there is a system behind it. And this is more than you can say about English, I guess. There's a system. But if it's a good system, that's a different thing. That's a different thing. We should just use like, I think this suggestion I have for Slavic spelling, I think could work as an international spelling for everything. let's just go with that. But I'm referring specifically to my spelling of Slavic, not a specific Slavic language. Language official orthography, because each Slavic language has their own way of writing it. But my spelling is based on all the different Slavic languages, so it still matches those. If you take pronunciation, if you take a sentence for each of the Slavic languages, and then you write it out how they officially write it, and then you write it out how the pronunciation spelling would be according to my system, they will mostly match up for most languages except Polish. And obviously the Cyrillic languages too. Because Polish is weird. But obviously, if you know the Polish spelling, then the other Slavic languages might look weird. I did. Because there was like a YouTube video I wrote a comment on. One of my rare comments I make. Where I brought up my idea of like a unified Slavic spelling. And there was Slavic people there that thought it was like a unified Slavic spelling that would then be used for Polish, and someone actually gave counterpoints to why his Polish spelling actually used certain ways of writing it. And those good points. And those should definitely be taken in consideration. Which I did, I guess you could say, did take into consideration. Not Not that I in any way is an authority of how the spelling should work, obviously. It's just an interesting thought experiment, and I have a lot of those. But of course, a lot of friendly people, but of course there is one person that just comes in and complains that we're not going to change anything. No, I'm not saying that you have to. This is just an interesting thought experiment. You're allowed to have those. Arabic doesn't even write most of the vowels. Vowels exist, you just have to know where to put which ones to use. They write the... What is happening? It doesn't work anymore. Again. Arabic writes out the long vowels, or like something like that. If I'm not mistaken. But not the short ones. And of course, I know I say it every time that they're. I know you're referring to the language, but some people do mix up the language and the script. And say that the Arabic scripts don't write out any vowels, or sometimes write out vowels, which is not true because there are languages in the Arabic script that always writes out the vowels. From Bosnia to Urdu, so there's a lot of languages use it, and like Kurdish, Urdu, I think, Bosnian, so Serbo-Croatian. Still not putting the picture on it. This thing, I don't know why. Uzbek, and more languages. I can't remember. Persian, they write out all the vowels. But there are of course a lot of languages in Arabic script that don't write out the vowels, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know about Arabic being one of the languages. Unless you split up Arabic in multiple languages, then you also have that. But I better keep the vote a secret so people don't go and look at Fun without clothes on. Go with apparently I have 3 matches. Quote, you will be able to cream Fun. Oh my, long vowels, yeah, but not the short ones, yeah. How do you hear that? All the way over there. Anyway, I got confirmation for wearing this, so I should probably... No, thank! I was saying that maybe I should take wrap up here at this ad break, actually, because I'm starting to get hungry, and I will be back in 2 hours anyway, so you will get more Pon. You're not going to miss out on the Pon. But for now, I'm very confused why it doesn't render to the thing. I got it to work previously, but why doesn't it work now? Oh, I know why it doesn't work. I haven't unwrapped it. Duh! I'm being silly now. Why doesn't it render anything? Because it renders everything in a single pixel in the corner. Well, it's not one pixel, it's no pixels, because it doesn't have unwrapping. I forgot a step. But it's pretty important, because I need to tell it where on the texture it should be. Well, that is an important step. Obviously. Come on, zoom in. There we go. My mouse is broken. Pretty indeed. No, thank. Don't read. 25 points today. We'll get more later. Pretty. Stop it. You're just trying to embarrass me. Of course. Wait, I should have solidified first. Yeah, of course you're trying to embarrass me, you silly people. Why wouldn't you? Okay, so, whoa, what's happening here? Whoop, there we go. That was something way to go in there. There we go. So we'll mark alongside all these edges. And then up these. I guess. Let's try that again. There, let's go with that. And now I will mark it around like that, and on these edges like that. But I guess I don't mark anywhere there. Mark, unwrap, which will make it in 2 pieces. This is the top piece, which is the important part, which is going to have all the decorations on it. But it isn't really that short, which doesn't feel like it's accurate to its shape. I feel like it should be taller. Although, not really, because it does wrap around, so the shape is probably correct. So, yeah, let's go with that then. But then I need to fix the underside. So I need... Oh yeah, this one should merge with this one then. No, it should be mirrored first. Mirror... Oh, right, I can't type mirror. It would be so convenient if I just could type it. There we go, now I can merge it with it. So now, with these two active at the same time, I can see all the unwrapping. And then I can place this one, although the last one is placed here. This is the whatever pile. That needs gold on it. There. And now, with all of that set, I can unwrap it properly. So now it actually has somewhere to go. Crazy. Whoa, look at Pom spot. Drink. Fries and burger. I forgot the name of fries. Chips. To avoid any confusion, it is fries and crisps. So people always know what I'm talking about. You know, if I say chips, it can be ambiguous. I like to not be ambiguous. That's what I also say. Call the last letter of alphabet Z. Because if I call it C, that would be very confusing. Anyway, why is Evil Pompon chopping up a hot dog? Quote, I've been a naughty bunny. We'll see if the render comes out alright. And then also, oh yeah, more people are voting. Yay! Don't forget what voting called. We're voting for what name there should be on the hot dog. 6 people have voted so far. Nice. Which is a significant amount. And I appreciate that people are actually providing a lot of letters this time. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's just more letters you have, yeah, you know. And it's going to be an epic battle. But yeah, we need... Did it work? Nope, it's blank. What is going on? I got it to work last time. I got it to work last time. Why is it not working this time? Anyway, I guess I was going to add soon, so it's going to be 2 hours and I will be back. So I think this will be where I have to say goodbye for now. And I will...
Lowest chase I've ever seen.
This is the wrong screen, sorry. So anyway, as I was going to say, this will be where I'll have to say goodbye. I will be back. Eventually in 2 hours. So, and then I will be playing a game with someone. You can guess what game. The only game I've been doing collabs with exception for one game. But I find a new person you've not seen before, possibly. So we'll see if you like this person. Well, cut a hot dog in half, but no one said what you would use to cut it with. Oh, I see. Ponpon told Evil Ponpon to cut the hot dog in half, and Evil Ponpon brought out the axe. Because, of course, she is Evil Ponpon because she carries around a battle axe. Hero Truck Simulator 2, yep, that would be the game. Should we go and visit someone who haven't we visited in a long time? I guess we go visit Rocket Man, who's been playing for like 1 hour, so we will go continue playing for another hour. He doesn't stream that often, so why not? I have a battle axe. Am I evil? No, that's not what I said. I said if you're evil, you have a battle axe. Not that you're evil because you have a battle axe. Not that the all evil people have a battle axe either. You're the opposite of evil. There we go. Let's do a little bit of surprise. You will not expect this to happen. Bunny, 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 bunny. Oh, he has good lighting this time. the lighting on his camera is different each time. Depends on how bright it is in the room. I will use the bunnies. Well, all of them are bunnies. I will use the feral bunnies. And of course, regular rules apply. Be nice, be kind, don't be silly. Wait, is it playing ads? No, it isn't. Good. I misread the message again. Now. So, what do we, I don't have anything to add. Come back in 2 hours, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And be ready for some crazy stuff. We'll see how crazy it is.